is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And on the show tonight, we have multiple different things to talk about. Every time Richie Rich is on, we have a whole bunch of really insane happenings from all around the world.
I'm going to miss this.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, because my whole point of Sunday Fun Day was like, we have the rest of the week to do all the serious, topical, political stuff. And then by the time Sunday rolls around, we just like let loose with some fun, weird, wacky, bizarre stuff.
Oh, yeah. That makes it fun.
In like 4 weeks, though, we're going to like weekends only, which means we don't have the rest of the week to do all the normal political stuff, which means like as the international voice for the ideas of liberty, right? It's going to be incumbent upon us to like spread that message in the now shorter time that we have, which is the weekend shows.
I totally agree. I think that when you have less or fewer shows, you probably should talk about the ideas of liberty.
Right.
Not that we don't at all. I think
so
it's
I'll
great.
still be entertaining, but I won't bring as many of the bizarre, wacky, off the wall stuff because we ain't got no time for that no more.
Well, I think one thing I think is great is that like we talk about this weird, crazy stuff that's like happening all over the world, but it's not like we're also just not talking about it from the perspective of people who care about like freedom and
sure,
you know,
as best we can when it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm gonna miss most having digest to do every day.
Well, right now you don't have it every day, right?
Well, no, I don't, but it's going to be interesting to just do weekend digests.
Yeah.
So, Riley, I left you out of this, and Bonnie, I left you out of this too, through no fault of your own. Just, I found an app on my phone that lets you do AI podcasts.
Nice.
So I created one. It's like 3.5 minutes. I sent it to the captain. I sent it to Lori, and I sent it to Aria because I think maybe we do as well, but like I definitely know that they share my humor and sensibilities a little bit. And I called it like Free AI Talk Live. So if you want something to do, you know,
free the AI. Hey,
right.
I have something
but
to
it's like
argue about
FRAI.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
So that's the thing. You can put in whatever you want and let the AI handle it. So if you want something to do for the digest, feel free to find an AI podcast and just muck it up and put in your own script or however you want to do it.
Yeah, do that and then just write parody.
Yeah.
Right.
Digest.
Okay.
Or take the brand, right? Or put the AI in the middle. Put it like Free TAI Talk Live or whatever. Free Tyke Live.
Well, one not that serious thing, but still to me it feels like serious in culture blah blah blah. Like I don't even know. I don't want to say culture war because it's not really the same thing. Plus, I feel like that's so over and so last year.
Okay.
But something I think is just I think okay. Here's the thing. I was about to say I think it needs to stop, but I don't think any human action needs to be controlled. I just don't like this, and I think it's not good for people, is stuff like this. Chinese man sends $550K and family's life savings to streamer so she would call him bro.
Wow.
This is beautiful.
No, it's not. It's gross.
You're right. But
it's a sad state of humanity to see a person spend that kind of money just for someone on the internet to call them bro.
You're right. But was it last week? You know, I may have been a little controversial to some, and I was making the point about my daughter and her doing like adult things.
Yeah.
I go like, I'm not going to make this kind of money. No one is going to pay me $500,000 to call them bro.
Yeah.
And if you are, like, I'm open, man. Like, call the show and offer me the money, and I will absolutely call you bro for the money. But like a cute looking female can get away with this.
People will eat that stuff up.
Yes. So you have to take advantage of that when you're like young and cute. Because they're not offering this to like old granny lady streamers, if there are any. Right? This is like a narrow opportunity in your life where you can get away with stuff like this and make a whole bunch of money and be set for life.
I bet that there are I'm sure it's way more niche and has less ability to make this kind of money, but I bet there are old lady grannies like Granny in her underwear. Streamers.
But they're not making millions of dollars a year.
They're too niche. Not everybody's into that.
Yes. But this lady, the one the OnlyFans chick that made like 43 or 46 million dollars last year.
Yeah.
That's a once in a lifetime opportunity, man.
Her name is Sophie Rain, and she definitely looks like very young.
Okay.
But I find it so annoying how a lot of, like, especially women on the internet, when they're talking about Sophie Rain and other OnlyFans girls, they're always bringing up, plus she looks 14, you freaks. She doesn't look 14.
Okay.
She looks more like, if I'd say her youngest, she looks as like 17.
Okay.
And it's also just like, it's even if she looks 14, they know she's not. So it just seems like a really dumb argument. I think it's a symptom of bad things in a way different way. Recently, everybody's virtue signaling statement to make is, oh my God, age gaps, so bad. It means you're a hidden pedophile.
Yeah. So this might be generational for you, Riley. I don't know if you're old enough for this. But like,
I'm 38, so
okay, you're with me then.
Okay.
You might remember this. I am of the generation that, you could talk about the age of consent, the age cap, whatever. But like my generation had a countdown clock on the internet for when the Olsens turned 18.
Oh.
As if nobody was perving on them before that countdown clock hit zero.
I actually don't remember that personally, probably because I didn't really care about the culture stuff. But
whatever then. But it was there.
But it's interesting that this is going on in American culture.
Yes. So, and my point being like, the reason the countdown clock existed was because they were already hot at 17 and there were already pervs looking at them at 17. And I'm going to say for me, it was okay because I was in college. It was a narrow age gap and that's how I'll justify it. But whatever, right? I didn't create the website, but it was there. There was a countdown. And as soon as that magic number rolls over to the zero, all of a sudden, it's okay to to take care of business while looking at those two again.
It's just interesting.
As if you weren't before that.
It's just interesting to me that we have as a society this magical number like 18 where you're suddenly magically an adult and things are okay.
Yeah, exactly. That just shows the ridiculousness of the magic number, but instead people are taking that, like people will say, oh my God, men are such pervs. Did you know there was a countdown for when the Olsens turned 18? Oh my God, they were 17. And it's just like, lots of girls lost their virginity when they were 14.
I've had my buddy nudge me and go 16, dude. I'm like, okay, off limits, like whatever.
And it's interesting that Free Talk Live
making eye contact, you checking out a chick and someone knows her age, but she looks good to me. And you go, dude, 16. Like, all right, well, I guess that's off limits then.
So I know Free Talk Live has had stories like this where a 17-year-old girl and a 19-year-old boy are sending sexually explicit text messages, and the 19-year-old guy is now charged with child pornography charges.
Yep, sex offender for life.
Yeah, that's so
it's
awful.
So absurd.
For a magic number. And it doesn't change things to me if it's a 17-year-old girl and like a 30-year-old man. It's not child porn. And I think that people need to stop considering teenagers children at all. Like, it's so sad and pathetic when there's a mom and she's like, my daughter's a child and she's 15. It's like you have like a mental problem where you can't let go that she used to be an infant in your arms, now she's not. But I'm not saying a 15-year-old should be old enough to do anything they want. They're not a child. We know there is a difference between 5-year-old and 15-year-old, and they don't want a different word for it because then they have less control over their children.
Yeah, you're going to catch more flack than that for me because I'm a dirty old man and you're supposed to be taking like the girl's side on this. Like, it's worse for you to have that opinion.
And when I was 19...
Who's protecting them?
When I was 19, I had a 31-year-old boyfriend. I had to lie to my parents about how old he was. And then this lady who knew his ex-wife called me and was just saying stuff like, listen, like, you got to get out of this. I know you can't understand it now. It was, like, so offensive.
You were being groomed?
Yeah.
He was taking advantage of you? There's no other possibility?
Yeah, and it was just, like, so offensive to me at the time. I was just like, you're, like, lower IQ than me, even if you're 30. Like, I know what I am
Your brain isn't even fully formed yet? How could you possibly be in control of that situation?
I looked into that. The thing that they are referencing when they say that is literally just the size of the it's the prefrontal cortex, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like, so there are two ways that your brain like develops. It's making connections, and also size. And by the time you are 5 years old, it's 95% the total size it will be. So then it just gets like that, and then it slowly finishes off its size growing until you're 25-ish, 22, 25. And people are making that sound like, oh, you don't have the ability to use it. Almost like it's like 10% done with making connections in that area. No, it's just the size. Like, it's just a technicality, and everybody gets more experience as they get older, and then may look back. Actually, it's so funny because I was just listening to this song called Sober, and it goes like, there's no way I was sober. Like, I look back and I can't believe that I was with you. What was I thinking? Basically, like, I dated guys when I was 23 that I still at 28 I'm like, what was I thinking? Because you get life experience and you change your mind about things. It doesn't matter, like, if that happens and you're 19 when you dated someone that you regret, then it's like horrible because blah blah blah. You just change perspective. Like, somebody can be 30.
Hopefully you grow.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll bring it up real quick before we move on too far from the point. You mentioned the percentage. Regardless of how accurate that percentage is, it's close, right? And that is one of the insidious things about early government schooling, right? They form the brains and they install the programming that early on, and churches do it too, right? You got to go to church when you're young.
They do it from pretty much birth too.
And like
the churches do.
Educational programs.
Well, and that's why you got to get them before they're 5 or 7 or 9, because by the time they're that age, like, most of their programming is installed, right? That 85, 90%, whatever it is, by the time they hit that age, that's it. That's their thought process for life, unless they have, like,
they've been formatted.
An epiphany.
It's their formative years.
Yes. Unless they have, like, an epiphany or a traumatic event that alters that state of consciousness, that's it. They hold on to that line of thinking for life, and that's why the state and church gets them young.
And if you, like, had some kind of trauma when you're that age, what you have to do is, like, go back and put in serious work to change the way you think about things, and sometimes it's just impossible.
And most people won't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they don't like psychedelics, because when people have psychedelic experiences, their minds can eventually change.
Absolutely, 100% why they don't like psychedelics.
They want to keep the mushrooms away from us, or the LSD, or the whatever it is away.
Breaks the myelin, forms new connections.
Yeah, they don't want us to do that. They want us to be part of their system. They want us to be enclosed in their boxes and say, you cannot open that box, because if you do, you're going to hell.
And they've had you from the time you could walk and talk.
Exactly.
So that you know nothing different unless you make an absolutely conscious effort to change that program.
And you know why women would be more like, oh my God, I can't believe Bonnie disagrees with the group on this. It's because, like, 35-year-old women start to think, wait a second, I didn't do what Bonnie did, get married at 24. I kind of messed up. Oh wait, I met Ian at 24, but I already loved him, and then
you were married before that, right?
We got married at 26. Well, I got technically married before that, and we should have been just annulled it, but we didn't know how that worked. So, anyways,
I remember you referring to an ex-husband, so I apologize if that wasn't.
It's okay. It's fine. It's not a secret or anything. I was just saying, like, it doesn't really count in my head.
Okay.
So
just forget about that regret.
Women will turn like 35 and they'll be like, wait a second, I was busy girl bossing this whole time, and now I want to settle down, but, like, no one wants a 35-year-old woman. That just means that they're all perverts. They're perverts for wanting to date a 19-year-old. They should date someone their own age, and then they like Google reason men are perverts. Their brains aren't fully developed yet, and then they just hold on to those things, and it's 100% true. That has happened. There's, like, a person that's a free stater girl who did end up getting married, but before she did, would fight with me on Twitter about this, and I was just like, you're just old and got lucky to get married to anyone. So it's Free Talk Live. You can call in with whatever's on your mind, and it looks like we have a caller on the line, so unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I've never heard such an implicit argument for child prostitution in my life.
Now, child prostitution sounds kind of like something that isn't compatible with the non-aggression principle, because children, which I
depends how you define children.
I was going to say, which I don't call teenagers children. are not sexually developed
So-
and they wouldn't
So
be able
what's
to say, yeah, I want to do that or understand the implications. So no, it's not an implicit
So,
anything. Your whole idea of everything being implicitly whatever you want it to mean.
Or objective.
If you called
Wait.
in and just said,
I'm asking
I like
your
the color
opinion.
green, and I said, you're implicitly telling me that you're a faggot. And you can't argue against me because
I love
it's
it.
just what I agree. Or it's just my opinion.
Not arguing against me like how you guys just hung up on me yesterday when I destroyed Riley with my new perfect analogy.
You didn't even get to the new analogy and you got hung up on.
When you're annoying, you get hung up on.
Yeah, you did.
Figure out.
Look,
See, you
you
can't
should've
you
seen
can't
it,
put together patterns. Low
I had Riley
IQ.
stumbling on himself. So where is it? What's the definition of child, Rich? And
I don't know.
And number two, how do you enforce it in Ancapistan?
Why do you have to
your
enforce
child
it?
prostitution laws?
In
I don't need to
Ancapistan,
enforce
you
it.
don't. Right? It's everything
Okay.
is consensual in Ancapistan. So if a 14-year-old
baby
wants
can
to do
prostitute
like
himself.
prostitution and get paid for it, and
Oh, wow.
it's consensual, then that's what it is.
He said it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so a 5-year-old can prostitute herself in Ancapistan. That's an Ancapistan. That's
I don't think a
And I'd
5-year-old
have
should
to
be
dream, isn't it?
prostituting themselves.
yeah.
Personally,
I think the parent would intervene,
wait.
Yeah.
right? But absent a parent,
So what?
it's all consensual, man.
I don't know if
Wait,
I agree
a
with
parent
that.
can intervene. Now you're saying a parent can intervene?
Yeah, a
Wait,
parent
you're
a
not
parent can
consistent
like
here.
go to the child and try to convince them not to do it because it's a bad idea.
Okay, but
So-
that's not an aggressive intervention.
I'm not talking about an aggressive intervention. Did I say aggressive intervention? I said no, a parent can intervene.
Can they?
How would a kid even get
Can
those
they
ideas in their head
aggressively
unless the parent was a parent who doesn't want their kids to be doing that is just going to protect them from the ideas, and then it won't pop into a little kid's head to leave the house and prostitute themselves. So it's just like this is such a non-issue that it's so boring to keep talking about.
So here's
No, this is not a non-issue. This is a big issue of when self-ownership.
It's such a
kicks in.
non-issue because it doesn't happen.
so
either it kicks in when they're conceived.
you're gonna
or I don't know
love
when
this, Skeeter.
Ancap-
You're gonna love this
I'm
because
looking forward
this
to
is
it.
an example that I've used,
I
and
love it.
this is an example that I've used, and I stand by. And you guys too, feel free to answer if you want. Skeeter, have you ever held the
Here we
baby?
go.
Have you ever held the baby that did not want to get held by you?
I just drop it because I'm an ANCAP.
Okay. Either you, Riley and Bonnie, have you ever held a baby that did not
yes,
want to be
I've,
held by
I've held my nieces and nephews who were squirming, didn't want to be held by me.
you?
'cause
And would
their
you
moms were doing other
would
things
you
for a
say
minute.
that their behavior and their
Yeah,
actions
yeah.
was a display of non-consent?
Sure.
Yeah, but like
Okay.
especially when they do that thing where they try to quickly straighten their spine and can
Okay.
almost get out of your arms.
So,
So
a
what's your
baby
point?
less than I'm saying a baby less than 1 can express consent to non-consent.
Yep.
And so, if you're raping a 5-year-old who's expressing non-consent by squirming and trying to get away from you, right? You have to take that non-verbal cue as either consent or non-consent. And babies less than 1 are capable of expressing consent.
I think that a 5-year-old could easily get tricked into not knowing what was going on until it was like too late, and I just don't think that they can consent in that way because they don't know the implications too. Like what
That's on the parent to teach them the implications.
that's true.
But like in the
but-
moment,
That's
in the
why
moment, if you go
values-
like, "Hey,
that's why
5-year-old,
values
I'll
not
give you a
subjective.
lollipop for some sexual favor," and they value the lollipop more than they value whatever future sexual behavior they have.
That's
Well,
why
see, that's
values not
predatory
subjective.
because of the fact that you understand that they don't understand that. They
Sure.
don't understand that the lollipop is not that valuable. That's
or
what
they're
I'd say.
or they're
Because
hungry
value-
because they don't have parents and they're starving on the street because it's Ancapistan.
Yeah.
That's because value is not. Do you realize that's a problem of subjective value? You're
No.
arguing that
No, it's not.
Bonnie's arguing that value is not subjective. It's objective. It takes time to get in line with objective value.
No, I'm saying
Because
a
you
starving
don't have
child
the-
might
you don't
value
have-
food more than their sexual future.
Yeah,
Sure.
It doesn't
And that is
matter what
subjective.
the preference is.
I think it's less
There
about
is
the
some-
objective value of the lollipop and more about them not having enough information to make a good judgment call on the subjective value of
That's
their sexual
subjective
future.
value.
No, it's not.
Okay, and who
Bonnie,
are you
you're
to step in
arguing
though?
for objective value?
Are you the parent?
You're arguing.
Yeah.
Are you just a
If-
bystander going like, "Hey, this dude's like having consensual sex with a 5-year-old"? Like that's fine,
That's
right?
just
If you
an-
want to call it
okay,
out
bye.
and point it out.
That is, see, I think that it's just a assumption to say that it's consensual. It's like you're jumping over a lot of things that we didn't already put down in stone. Like,
First, I'm not jumping over anything. I established that that kids younger than 1 are able to non-verbally express consent and non-consent.
But maybe they just don't know what's going on, and it's just like they're fine with you literally touching them or holding them or whatever, but then like things progress in a way that they didn't understand was about to happen, and it's too late.
Well, which is why even teenagers and adults can withdraw consent at any time.
Sure.
And that's too late, and then they go out.
Please
raped.
remove yourself from me and leave my apartment. Right?
But then again, you have grooming that can also alter someone's perception of what's right and what's wrong.
That's why I think that there's an kind of like an imbalance in that the adult has the advantage of understanding what's going on. The 5-year-old doesn't have that advantage, and yeah, they could be exactly groomed in a way that they're like, this is fine, this is going to be okay, there's nothing wrong with this, and then they don't know until it's too late, and then maybe something hurts or something, and then they say stop, and then you listen to that, and in your mind it's like, oh, it's all been fine, but like
until they say stop.
But they wouldn't have given that consent if they knew anything, all of the consequences. They don't have all the extra information. And especially if it's like, what if this kid was an orphan since birth and had no one guiding them?
And absent a state, who is going to intervene on the child's behalf?
Just anyone? Like,
all right.
If you're doing on the street, like you said, if somebody shoots you, that's on you. Made that decision.
I know this is a very hot topic among libertarians about consent and what age, or if there should be an age of consent. I have a moral problem personally with a 14-year-old prostituting themselves. However, that being said, I think if a 14-year-old girl understands what prostitution is and the consequences of her action, she should be at least free to try and prostitute herself if she wants to.
And if you have a moral problem with it, don't go to 14-year-old prostitutes.
Exactly.
There are old ladies for you too.
That's my position.
It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. 603-283-6160. More coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Nothing you do or say will ever reach the lofty heights attained by the following news summary. This is the Onion Week in Review. Facing increased market pressure and a shrinking bottom line, media company Star Trove was forced to lay off dozens of unskilled bloggers this week. Sources confirmed that before being dismissed, many of the bloggers had been with the company for months, regularly performing menial tasks such as describing celebrity outfits and composing quizzes about Disney characters.
I mean, I'd been with this company for almost a year. It wasn't the most rewarding job, and I didn't have health insurance, but it paid the bills. I'm already 25 years old. I just don't know where to go from here.
In other news, a 6-day visit to a rural African village completely changes a woman's Facebook profile picture. A new dating website helps plus-size Jewish plane crash survivors find love. And a kid figures he'll go down the slide 36 more times and then call it a day.
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. It has led the White House to suggest a ceasefire in Gaza is now, quote, more likely. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
A senior Palestinian official has come out to say that Hamas is open to discussing all ideas and proposals, but still has not been presented with a new deal. We need to take into account what we've really been hearing over this past week or so, really from the United States, saying that they hope to use this ceasefire in Lebanon as a catalyst to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. But really what we are seeing on the ground is this main sticking point that has been coming up time and time again, and that is the end to the war. Hamas has been saying once again that it wants a full comprehensive pullout of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and Israel has been saying that it believes that the only way to get back these 101 Israeli hostages is through military pressure. So what we can expect is a lot more diplomacy in the coming days, a lot more of a push to try and finally get this ceasefire over the line after 14 months of fighting and 44,000 people killed in the Strip.
US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin has criticized the choice. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee highlighted the importance of an FBI independent from the executive branch and insisted the current director has not been influenced by President Biden.
This Department of Justice has brought charges against a Democratic U.S. Senator in New Jersey, a Democratic congressman in Texas.
And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the US. But when she does, she could be in a lot of trouble. Larry Kofsky reports.
The 57-year-old woman was to have come back Saturday night, but the Daily News reports Delta refused to fly her after she caused a disturbance at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, where she was awaiting deportation. The woman, a Russian citizen with a U.S. green card, somehow managed to sneak past security and Delta gate agents to board Flight 264 to Paris. Flight attendants became suspicious when they noticed her moving from bathroom to bathroom during the flight. When she does return, the woman is likely to face both state and federal charges, including theft of services. Larry Kofsky.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160, that's 603-283-6160 is the phone number you can call. We have a caller in line, but Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. With fees of less than a penny per transaction, Dash is made for spending. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges including the decentralized Maya protocol and in multi-crypto wallets. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month for this sponsorship. It's easy to get and use Dash. You can learn more at dash.org. That's dash.org. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we have a caller on the line, so I'm just going to go straight to the phones. Dave Ridley, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, I have, you guys know who Seth Hipple is?
Yes, and I watched your interview with him, and it was like, what a little meanie.
Well, if you say so, but
I've got nothing nice to say about that guy, so please continue.
All right, well, he's an old friend, but he's also been my lawyer. I guess in a sense he still is. I haven't had him do anything recently.
If
but
the state sets him on fire, I would not put him out.
All right. Better you thinking that way than me.
I don't feel that way, but I just don't like him, especially after your interview. Go ahead.
I want to pass on his concerns and let you react to them. So his claim is that he believes free staters are too far right and that they should have done, they were too hostile generally towards BLM.
I watched your interview, and so I heard everything he had to say about this, or listened to your interview. I heard everything he had to say about this, and first of all, nothing's more cringy when he said, in the summer of Floyd. In the summer of Floyd. Just, that's so cringe. Second of all, it's like he's purposely being extremely not generous to the Free Staters while being extremely generous to the BLM people, because he obviously didn't look into it at all if he thinks no Free Staters supported BLM, because that's 99% of the reason I'm here at all. Ian and nobody went to a BLM.
Nobody was a big supporter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nobody is a huge supporter of Black Lives Matter, and I agree.
Nobody is a person, for any listeners that don't understand that. But right. So Ian and nobody and some other people went to the BLM, I almost said riots.
Nobody formally knows Rich Paul.
Oh.
In New Hampshire, they weren't at all. They're protests. It's just you hear BLM riots so much that I almost said riots, and that would have been funny. But it's not like I'm not one of those people who's like they were all
mostly
riots.
Peaceful. That's why.
because I went to the one in San Antonio. Seems like, I don't know, it could have been like more than 5,000 people. It was so many people. Maybe not 5,000. I don't know. I don't know
Can
how
you
to
support the
count
cause
that.
without supporting the organization?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
the organization was a little sketchy,
I completely agree.
and they've been caught with some fraudulent activities, especially the higher ups.
And I was very disappointed with the way it felt like it got like taken over. Like when I went to the protest in San Antonio, I got this like kind of anonymous invite thing that somebody had sent around, and that's how I heard about it. And even in the invite, it called itself like a anti-police protest and to support the family of George Floyd. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And I went, and when I got there, it was a bunch of speakers who weren't like official or anything, just going up and speaking and saying like just how bad white people are and stuff. And it was like, wow, this is like not how it was advertised. And it feels like it got really taken over. First of all,
Or 50-50, right? I don't like the police, but George Floyd is a terrible martyr for the cause.
Right. I completely agree. I don't think that he was like some kind of really good person. I also don't think he deserved to get killed. But there are so many better examples of like people should have freaked out about this happening. Like, I don't know everything about the person, Philandro Castile, but he didn't deserve to die. And I just don't know a lot of their names. It's
Put
been
him
a
on
long
the
time.
pedestal. Like riot around Philando Castile, right? Because he was doing nothing wrong, was reaching for what the documents that they asked for.
Yep.
And because he didn't even flash the gun, right? He was just a licensed firearms carrier. And when they're like, get your documents out of the glove compartment, and he reached for it, they shot him.
Yep.
Live
In front
on
of his
Facebook.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And-
like, he's fine if you go like, wow, that's terrible. Like, disband the police over that.
And people are just so stupid, and they're a big mob of low IQ people that can be led any way. That like back in 2016 when I became a libertarian, it was all because of Cops Suck. So Cops Suck, and I started to be like, hey, Cops Suck. I wonder if anybody on the internet knows this. And I go on the internet, found Cop Block and stuff like that, and I started posting videos and talking about it all the time, like on my Facebook. I ordered ACLU flyers that were like how to deal with cops if you find them, and went around my neighborhood that was a military base.
I love it. I love your
passed them
form
out
of
to people.
activism already.
And like people were telling me like, hey, you need to stop, you're pissing people off because the government's actually pretty good most of the time. And also I got called racist for saying we should abolish the police in 2016. And then you were racist if you didn't say it in 2020, but I was like, whatever, we can turn this into something. We can like make big change. Like my generation is going to do something good because of this like sad situation of George Floyd getting killed. But no, they just got taken instantly by like people in BLM being like, you know what, abolish the police is pretty strong, we just want to defund it, and also we need to just give money to random black people. And it's all about black people. It's not about just like everyone getting killed by cops.
Yeah, it's really about promoting a certain race over another because they see them as the victims. I mean, I see their points, but at the same time, we should be giving money to any victim of police, really. I mean, you and Ian have been victimized by the Fed, so why not get a cut of some money?
It's not even about money to me for that specific situation.
I'll tell you why. Because within the black community, it happens to a higher degree. And so, like, I know that I have white privilege. If a cop pulls me over, I can fumble around in my glove compartment. I can fumble around in my backpack. I can get out of my vehicle and talk to the cop without any fear.
You don't know that.
I do know that.
You don't know
because
that.
I've done it.
But you don't know that will always be the case. I know plenty of white people that have gotten harmed by cops.
But black dudes can't even think about doing that. They got to dangle their hands out the window. They got to keep it at 10 and 2. The cop's already got his hand on his gun as he approaches the vehicle. And
Probably not in New Hampshire.
They can't get away with that.
Probably not in New Hampshire.
I can get away with that. And I know I can get away with it because I have. And I'm here. Survivor bias.
But I'm saying
fine.
you don't know that you can always do that. Cops are always implicitly
No,
threatening
because
you.
I'm white.
That's so ridiculous.
They're implicitly threatening me, and I understand that. But I can do more than a black dude at a traffic stop.
Maybe it just depends on where
Guaranteed.
you live. If it's in Chicago where you look exactly like all the other people that killed someone this week, I don't really feel bad for you.
They've done to like find the YouTube video. There's the open rifle carry protest, right? White dude walks down the street with an AR strapped to his back, and the cops show up and they talk to him peacefully and go like, "Hey, dude, what's the deal?" I'm like, "Well, I'm allowed to, officer." Like, yes, you're allowed to, but we've gotten some complaints. Like, well, if you can arrest me, right? And then they go like, "Let's try this with a black dude." And they sent a black dude walking down the street with an AR strapped to his back. And the cops roll up, guns ablazing, on the ground, right? Like it's a different thing.
I don't
they
think
respond
that's just
differently.
like, that's not like a study or something. That's like
It's not a study, but it's anecdotal with a lot of anecdotes.
anecdotal, double-blind, placebo test, whatever.
No, but there's enough anecdotes where you go like, there's a pattern here.
Okay, well,
Like black dudes get it a lot worse than white dudes. So the whole point of like
well,
Black Lives
somebody
Matter.
who's had 60 cops at my door telling me to go out, pointing gun at me, telling me to go outside naked because I existed. I just don't really feel like people should be presenting this about, oh, it's a problem for one race. It's a problem that there are people who believe they have authority over other people and can go into other people's houses and try to violently harm them, whether it's taking it all the way to killing them.
Again, you
or
were not
just
wrong, but the point of Black Lives Matter was to highlight that it happens disproportionately to black people. Like, that's it. It happens more to them than it does to white folks.
I can even agree that that is the case without saying, I can do whatever I want and I know I can because I'm white. That's literally not always true.
It's not always true, but it has been true in every case.
No, it hasn't.
In my case.
Cops have killed. Oh, in your case. Okay.
I've done
Double blind anecdotal study again. Super convincing.
Anecdotal, but again, like, I'm not the only white guy that gets pulled over. Right? They pull white guys over all the time, and we can get away with more.
I've been sleeping in my house and had cops tell me to step into boots that I was telling them have glass in them. Like,
yes,
I'm
which
white,
is more
I'm
anecdotal
girl.
because if you were a black dude, you may have gotten shot.
That's you can just say at any time, if you were black, something else might have happened at any situation in someone else's life.
Because statistically, it happens to them at a greater rate. That's why. That's why Black Lives Matter.
That is not how you have a conversation. Like, well, it could have been worse if you were black. When I tell you, you're trying to tell me that if I'm white, I won't get harmed by cops. I give you an example of me getting harmed by cops being the
I didn't say you wouldn't
of
get
people.
harmed.
You said you know for a fact you won't because you're white, and I'm white.
I said you can get away with more if you're white.
And
you absolutely can get away with more if you're white.
You don't know that the cops wouldn't have changed their behavior would have changed their behavior if I was someone else.
If you were black, there's a higher likelihood that you would have gotten shot based on the statistics of aggression against black people by the cops.
Would that be true for black people in New Hampshire, though, since black people are not a large population here?
Even worse if they're not a large population. They're definitely a minority.
You haven't looked at any of those numbers, it sounds like. Being a minority doesn't mean that they get harmed more. Because they're a minority, if they are being harmed more per capita, the amount of people here, then that's one thing. But being a minority doesn't mean, it is happening worse. You don't know that answer. Do not have the answer to Riley's question.
I wish we had a way to actually do a study of this.
No, you can look at the statistics. Like, you can find crime statistics. I don't have them in front of me, but you can look it up.
In New Hampshire, it's something like 90% likely to get let away with a warning during traffic stops.
Okay.
It's just like it's a different place here. It's one thing if you choose to live in a place where like 99% of the crime happens, is perpetrated by somebody who looks exactly like you, and you're just like, I can't understand why they don't like me. If you choose to do that, well, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's your fault because cops shouldn't be pulling people over for nothing and harming people. They shouldn't be doing that.
Agreed.
But it's not a one-to-one comparison to what happened to me in New Hampshire.
I didn't say it was.
But you said you can tell me that it would be different if I was black.
The likelihood is it would have been different if you were black.
You don't know the statistics of specifically FBI agents in specifically New Hampshire. It's like
do
everything's
you,
not a
so pull 'em up.
vacuum. Well, we're
Pull
on the
'em up.
radio show.
Okay.
But you're the one saying it is true. I'm just saying you don't know that.
That's fine.
But I'm looking, asserting something.
I'm asserting in aggregate statistically,
in all of the United States,
in
which
general,
are not comparable really to each state.
If you want to
individual.
narrow your focus, fine. But in general, Black Lives Matter wasn't a big thing in New Hampshire. It was a big thing where black individuals are statistically more likely to be harmed by police for the very reason that they're black. Not that they were out committing a crime, right? But that they were disproportionately targeted by the police.
So by saying not because they were committing a crime, you're making definitely like an assumption, because I understand that black people get harmed by police disproportionately more, but it could, and this is a hypothesis people have put out, but like Riley said, they don't just do studies on this kind of stuff, but
they have crime statistics. They do studies on it.
They have crime statistics. That's not the same as studies. They have what
That's
the
where you
government
get the
claims
numbers.
happens.
Yeah.
Studies are, so
Where are you
let's
gonna get the
ask the
study from?
cops why they did this in this situation, stuff like that. That's what a study is. Like,
And they're not.
we're going to have
and
a
they're
hypothesis
definitely not going to
and
say,
figure it
well, it's
out.
because he was black.
So
They're going to say because he crossed the solid line, whether he did or not.
that's just one example of a way to do a study. I'm just saying that you're not referencing that. You're referencing government statistics, which we don't even know if we can believe because the government lies.
Well,
Sure.
anyway,
But it's the experience of the black community that it happens disproportionately,
a
and they're
community
the ones
can't
that
have an experience.
and they're the ones that started Black Lives Matter.
I think Ridley might have some more things to say.
yeah, I mean, hear him out. Hear Seth out when he says that he thinks Free Staters are generally too focused on right-wing issues.
It's great because you're
too
so
right-wing.
generous, because he didn't say generally. He was just talking about all Free Staters. And then whenever he talks about BLM, he's like, but just remember that lots of them are really nice, and this is what I'm going to be so generous with all this stuff, which is fine. I'm not saying don't be generous to them, but when you're trying to talk about a group of people called Free Staters, and whenever you talk about them, you're like, they are bigots. I didn't know. Well, it took me a few years to realize they are bigots, but on average, most of the BLM writers, you can't even compare violence, like the amount of people in the BLMs that are violent are, even though I don't agree that they're all violent, like some people are reductive and say that, you also can't take the Free Staters and say they're all bigots, and that's what he does in your interview time after time after time, and it's really irritating.
I also
Well,
have
just
personal
watch it.
firsthand experience. It's only anecdotal, but of him acting unethically in his role as an attorney, which is why he can go burn and not be put out.
He's a liar.
I've seen him save Free Staters in court, and you just go to RidleyReport.com and watch the interview. If you don't like what he says, you don't like what he says.
So my main thing that I didn't like about him was that he was being not generous to Free Staters and trying to paint all Free Staters as leftists, not even mentioning like, oh, well, there were some in Keene.
No, I think he was trying to paint them as right-wingers.
Well, it's both, because
Okay.
in the interview, did you listen to the interview?
I have not yet. Maybe I should.
In the interview, he's talking about how basically when he first got here, he thought we were all on the same page. He thought we all had the same motives, and then he realized a lot of them only cared about that if you're white, and only cared about that if you're a righty. So it's like both. He's claiming that Free Staters are racist because of the not agreeing with BLM stuff. He's putting stuff in people's mouths, but not saying who, because you can just say, oh, and a Free Stater told me X, Y, and Z, and not have to back it up because, well, I didn't say you did it, and that's how lawyers act. And he's told people that I know personally, I'm tired of Free Staters, and that he's distancing himself from Free Staters. So he doesn't claim to be one, and he has a goal and an opinion that he's backing up by these like things where he's giving nebulous.
Free Staters should
claims.
run him out of the community and out of the state.
When was the last time he saved a Free Stater in court, Ridley? Like years ago?
Didn't he get some of the charges dropped against the people who protested in front of Governor Sununu's house?
Honestly, I just don't know.
Isn't he
know
also the
all
one
the
that
details
gave
on-
Ian the opinion that what he was doing was not illegal and he had nothing to worry about?
That was
Maybe it was not.
true.
Maybe it was not illegal.
It's because he said it wasn't illegal in New Hampshire, and he was right, but the government was like, oh, we don't care because it's federal. So I don't blame him for that.
Okay. But Ian acted on an opinion of Seth Hippel, and now he's behind bars for 8 years pending appeal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust that guy.
Those two things are definitely two things that are true.
There you go.
Anything else, Ridley?
Well, I trust him, and I have nothing else to add.
Thank you so much for your call and letting us start off that conversation, even though it got all heated. I do appreciate you bringing it up. I wanted to be able to talk about it on the air sometime, but I kind of forgot that
I just find it fascinating that here Bonnie and Richie Rich are arguing when they're good friends.
That's what Free Talk
Because we
Live
keep
is
it
all
on
about.
air, man.
That's true.
Yeah, that's so true. Don't just argue with Richie Rich off the air, because that would be annoying.
I might look like Peakless Mountaineer, but I am not.
So we have another caller on the line. And unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know what would be hilarious with Trump getting so excited now that he's been re-elected, and now he can do whatever he wants, and he's nominating all his friends to high positions, whether they're qualified or not, and really showing his true colors.
And did not put a libertarian on the cabinet as he promised.
No, he didn't promise it. And I was
okay.
confused about it too. He said that, so he did promise to free Ross Ulbricht, and he continued to say it after the Libertarians already chose Chase Oliver, but he said he would put a Libertarian in cabinet if they backed him for, like, nominated him for president.
Oh, okay. So it was contingent.
I thought the same thing, though, for a long time. And now that I've realized that's true, because I saw somebody pointing out, I was like, you're so right. Now people are claiming that I'm backtracking to try to cover for Trump. And it's like, no, I just care about what is true. And it seems like you're able to accept truth. But some people are like, no, I just want to be mad at Trump.
No, if it was contingent upon getting the nomination, then fine. I missed that part, too.
Anyway, you know what would be hilarious is if he shows his true colors and he still has time to mess up so badly that even these MAGA maniacs who have been picked, they can be trusted. These are dedicated MAGA supporters who will definitely vote for Trump in the Electoral College. If even they can't stomach some stunt that he does over the next few days, and they get, instead of voting for Trump, they vote, let's say, for Vance, and that's enough of them that it throws the election into the House of Representatives, which is kind of getting fed up with some of these representatives are kind of getting fed up with Trump, and they're going to be the majority by that day.
Because not all Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, it's going to be...
He's a faction within his own party.
It looks like it's going to be a majority GOP, but they all hate him anyway. So, yeah.
So that would be hilarious if they and they could vote for J.D. Vance and then vote for somebody else, just enough to throw it into the House of Representatives.
This just sounds really... I don't think it's going to happen.
It's very unlikely that there'll be that many Electoral College protest votes. Yes.
It would be hilarious.
It would be hilarious. Unlikely, but funny as heck.
I feel like even the people of Congress, they're all bad people. I still think that for whatever reason, they don't like to rock the boat that much. I was going to say shake the boat, almost sounded like I said a bad word.
It was close. It was close.
They don't like to rock the boat and do things that are super, like, out of line for the way other people have done. And I don't really know why that is. Like, why do they just,
political capital.
Yeah. That's true.
There's something that they want that they're going to have to get other people to vote for them on, and so they'll sell their vote.
That's a good
for the
point.
Other stuff.
And I'm sure there are some Trump loyalists in there, so then they'd be like making enemies. Yeah. I don't really know that. I don't know anything about them.
I've heard that from like free state representatives. Like, why don't you just put forth the freedom stuff? Like, because we're going to need to put forth less freedom stuff. We're going to need help from the non-free state people to get those through. So
I've heard Ian complain about that on air too. It's like, okay, I understand that you want political capital, but at the same time, I think freedom stuff is extremely important. So put forth the freedom stuff and don't worry about your political capital.
And it's like, it'd be one thing if we were seeing like serious movement, but I feel like the whole time I've lived here, it's been freaking molasses slow as a mold.
Government runs really, really slow though.
Liberty in somebody's lifetime.
Yeah, like
maybe in Jesus' lifetime. Oh wait,
The Return.
Yeah, hopefully that's soon.
Okay.
I mean, Christians say it's coming soon, so.
Well, his
We'll
life
see.
never ended, right?
I mean, if you want to look at the Christian religion and say that his life never ended, then you can say, yeah, that's true.
Or maybe they believe it did for 3 days and then it was back. I don't know.
I don't know either. I would say that, if I understand my former religious theology, I don't think Christ's life ever ended. I think he just left his body for a period of time, then came back to it.
And then moved to Japan.
But when he was in hell, Bitcoin Jesus?
No. There's theories out. I mean, you brought it up. You mentioned the Jesus in India. There's other theories out there that say he ended his life and got married in Japan.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that one
Okay.
specifically.
Well, have fun with that rabbit hole.
That's kind of
I'm
even
not going down it.
Even more reason to call him Bitcoin Jesus because
Yeah.
Roger Ver went and became a citizen in Japan.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
Or I don't know if he was a citizen, but he definitely lived there with his
Okay.
wife. But yeah, that's pretty funny. So, yeah.
Following the
it's-
path of original Jesus.
It feels like doing this whole we need our political capital and make 40 chess moves to slowly move towards liberty it's only barely working. And could we try something else and try to get people to
Yeah.
actually understand? Like maybe
Run
if-
against him.
Maybe if more people actually did the work of trying to get people to understand where we're coming from, like we do here on Free Talk Live, maybe it wouldn't be so hard to get people to agree to things.
Run against him and be more extreme.
Be more extreme. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government, the real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. It has led the White House to suggest a ceasefire in Gaza is now, quote, more likely. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
A senior Palestinian official has come out to say that Hamas is open to discussing all ideas and proposals, but still has not been presented with a new deal. We need to take into account what we've really been hearing over this past week or so, really from the United States, saying that they hope to use this ceasefire in Lebanon as a catalyst to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. But really what we are seeing on the ground is this main sticking point that has been coming up time and time again, and that is the end to the war. Hamas has been saying once again that it wants a full comprehensive pullout of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and Israel has been saying that it believes that the only way to get back these 101 Israeli hostages is through military pressure.
US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin has criticized the choice. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee highlighted the importance of an FBI independent from the executive branch and insisted the current director has not been influenced by President Biden.
This Department of Justice has brought charges against a Democratic U.S. Senator in New Jersey, a Democratic congressman in Texas.
And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the U.S. But when she does, she could be in a lot of trouble. Larry Kofsky reports.
The 57-year-old woman was to have come back Saturday night, but the Daily News reports Delta refused to fly her after she caused a disturbance at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, where she was awaiting deportation. The woman, a Russian citizen with a U.S. green card, somehow managed to sneak past security and Delta gate agents to board Flight 264 to Paris. Flight attendants became suspicious when they noticed her moving from bathroom to bathroom during the flight. When she does return, the woman is likely to face both state and federal charges, including theft of services. Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at Donald Trump's nominee to be the next FBI director. Kash Patel is an outspoken and uncompromising supporter of the president-elect and his Make America Great Again agenda. A former chief of staff to the acting defense secretary in Trump's first term, he has endorsed the need for retribution against the president-elect's political enemies, telling Trump advisor Steve Bannon last December that he is firmly committed to unleashing the country's judicial system against people responsible for upending the first Trump administration.
The one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
That message strikes fear into many Trump opponents, including some who testified against the president at his 2 impeachment trials. Kash Patel, a former federal prosecutor and public defender, will need to secure Senate confirmation before he gets to sit atop the FBI, a process that could be sticky if a handful of Republicans take issue with his nomination. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the US. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
A heroic broken sewage pipe floods Congress with waste. Johnson & Johnson introduces new leave-in Q-tips. This Thursday, local youth Andrew Robillard told reporters he had no idea why he couldn't wear his Iron Man costume to his grandfather's funeral. Robillard, whose grandfather passed away this week after complications from a stroke, vented his frustration to reporters and noted that his grandpa, quote, probably wouldn't even care if he dressed like Iron Man at the funeral.
Iron Man is awesome. I want to wear my Iron Man suit. I am Iron Man.
And in tech news, a news website refers to its users' ceaseless exchange of racial slurs as a discussion. In other news, Guinness World Records promotes the man who can lift 27 pounds with his tongue to editor-in-chief. Thursday's cry is moved up to Wednesday due to a scheduling conflict, and a family watches in silence as dad checks out the waitress.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number you can call. That's 603-283-6160. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin is a lesson that too many people have learned the hard way. It's always best to get your crypto into a wallet that you control, but not all wallets are equal. Many of our hosts have been using Edge wallet for years to manage crypto, and there just aren't many wallets to compare. Featuring a unique login system that makes it easier for you to access your crypto from multiple devices, Edge is designed to be user-friendly. In a space that can be notoriously difficult for non-tech people, Edge Wallet is a valuable tool for novices and experts alike. You can learn more at edge.app, that's edge.app, which features a link at the top for those who wish to learn more about crypto and wallets. Thank you again to Edge for sponsoring Free Talk Live. And again, to learn more, you can go to edge.app. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we do have a caller in the line. Before we answer, I just wanted to say, I felt like I didn't get to the main point I wanted to say about Seth Hipple and BLM because we're getting lost in a lot of very specifics. I just wanted to say, basically, cops shouldn't be harming anyone, and almost all libertarians understand that. I know like one dumb lady who is like, you libertarians don't understand. We still need cops because I was in Minnesota, and it's just like, that isn't a good, like, that's not a good reason why we need cops, and you being traumatized by something once doesn't mean everyone should pay for your safety, socialized safety cops that do a bad job and harm everyone. And the other thing is, whatever the reason, I don't care if it's, because like black people get harmed the most. Whatever the reason people wake up and realize we don't need cops, I'll take it. It's just that it got well taken over and made into something else, and nothing got done because of it. Basically, nothing got done. The only thing that got done was that the people in general look at cops differently, and I have actually heard cops say in a speech, this one chief guy, like big fat cop, like top fat loser pig, was giving a speech in Chicago that I went to, and he was saying, it's not fair. Ever since COVID in the summer of Floyd, people don't respect cops anymore, and fewer people even want to be cops.
Probably because the profession has been tainted by cops being bastards.
Exactly. It's not that people tainted it by talking bad about cops and like, oh my god, we should feel so bad for them. They tainted it themselves by being horrible people, often racist and
often
harming
being
people.
Violent, often breaking down people's doors in the middle of the night.
Just being bullies and absolute freaks who are...
We're here to enforce the God law.
And I don't think it's fair that Seth Hipple made it sound like, most libertarians didn't agree with BLM and that's why I left. Like, you're so pure, Seth Hipple. You purposely are leaving out people that you know very well. We're not that way. And just I know like a couple of people that are that weird about cops. Like, and wrong libertarian wise.
And again, there's probably nobody on this panel more ACAB than me. And everything you said is valid. And the only thing that I'll rebut to that, and it might not even be a rebuttal, is some part of what I said before when having the conversation with Lori about, like, other marginalized groups. Mm-hmm. Right? They're marginalized groups, And so the only way they get attention is if you shift the spotlight on them more so than anybody else.
I
And
can
that's what
understand that
BLM
too.
was.
And one thing that I really like is that black people decided to like come together and make a big deal out of something. I wish that white people would make a big deal out of something when other white people get harmed by the cops, but they just won't do it. They don't have like that kind of community together.
And it's usually because when white people get harmed by the cops, it's not specifically because they're white.
Well,
That's the difference. They happen to be white.
you can't prove that, oh
I
my
know
God,
you
this
disagree.
person who got harmed by the cops was black. It was only in 100% specifically because they're black. But sure, I'm sure tons of black people will claim that every single time.
Yes, they would, because that is their experience within their community as a marginalized group.
If a white person got killed by a black cop who was openly racist, white people would still be like, oh, well, I don't want to touch that.
Yes.
And that bothers me. I think that
And if it was one time, they probably wouldn't touch it. If it became an endemic and like the
don't
pattern of behavior for black cops to attack white people, like repeatedly on camera,
I still
out
don't
in the
think
open,
so.
specifically because they're white, you might see something change.
might. I still don't think so, because I think that white people are to like go along to get along, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in today. It's really
Until they
annoying.
become a marginalized group.
Because I saw this black guy, somebody, like a dumb righty, I'm not agreeing with the original poster, posted this picture of one of those girls that got killed by illegal aliens, quote unquote, it's what they call them, people who were here illegally.
Undocumented immigrants.
Yeah. And so somebody posted a girl that got killed by them and said, where is the BLM riots for this? And a black guy reposted it and said, that's on y'all. You better show up, or something like that. And it was really funny because, like, it's true. It's like, why is he expecting black people to go riot for this one white girl,
Yes. But
Kinda
like,
funny.
also on the right, the extreme right, white nationalism is on the rise in some areas. Right, where they're like now feeling the burden of the backlash or the pendulum swinging in the other direction. Right, they're becoming more racist.
And
right?
okay,
And
being
you see
racist,
videos of them like with the flags, maybe
Yeah.
not the hoods, but the masks,
being
with the
racist isn't what
swastika
I want,
walking
by
down
the
the
way.
street.
I'm not saying white people need to get more racist. I'm saying white people need to get more
Come together as white people to defend white people against
non-compliant.
violence.
Just be less compliant for the government.
Okay.
Like towards the government.
I think I agree with Bonnie on this. I think it's more important for everyone, not just white people, but it'd be nice if white people did this as well. But I think it's more important for everyone to come together and say, let's be less compliant to the authority figures.
Yeah, and you had your chance by being supportive of Black Lives Matter when they were being anti-authoritarian. Instead, they went, no, all lives matter.
No, lots of people did do that, and that is so dumb.
I agree.
went
It was really dumb. I mean, I understand. I kind of fell into that all lives matter thing too, but at the same time, when nobody started talking about Black Lives Matter and explained his logic to me, I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, he
to
was a
support
great
Black
advocate
Lives
for the
Matter.
cause.
And the thing is, like I explained in the last segment, I went there to be doing the same thing lots of people showed up there for, and like the speakers turned it into something else that pushed white people away, and that's so stupid.
That was foolish on their part as well. Yes.
And I think it was on purpose, because they, like the owners of the corporation that was BLM and all the people that they hired to go out into the streets that weren't, these people
we
weren't
don't
from San
need your
Antonio.
white support. We got this.
Yeah,
no, you
that's
don't.
weird. Yeah. And
Take allies where you can get them, man.
not just that, but like making it, instead of it's like cop violence, no matter what the cop looks like being violent against black people, it turned into like white people versus black people. And it's just, I don't know. There was that one example of a white guy killing a cop. I'm not saying it's the only example, but there was that example of a white guy killing a cop right in front of them. It was easy to take that momentum that had started from it and just direct it towards white people instead of cops.
Yeah.
And it's so ridiculous, because imagine if everybody came together to but the thing is, I think because of the nature of humans, that it should be that white people and every people kind of, it's just the nature of people that they're going to be like, I recognize the humanity in the person that looks like me the most. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that's just how people act. So next time somebody gets killed in your neighborhood that looks like you, make a big deal out of it with your community.
I will also suggest, like, pick a better martyr.
Mhm.
Right? George Floyd was a terrible martyr for this cause.
Yeah.
Especially, and again, I'm the most ACAB person on the panel. But I watched the video, right? And it almost had me like on the cop's side.
Wait, why?
Because they weren't being mean to him at first.
Oh.
They
I haven't
walked
seen
up.
it so long.
Oh, watch it again then. Right? Like again, he was accused of like passing a fake check, which even by libertarian standards is fraud. Now, whether that's cause for arrest or just restitution later, like we can have that debate.
Sure.
Right?
I would
But,
tend to agree that, it should be restitution, not arrest.
Okay, fine. But like the culture we have is that it's arrest.
Yeah.
And you can be compliant while being arrested, right? Or you can be non-compliant while being arrested. And one of the two is inherently more dangerous than the other, right?
So, like, you're not saying, oh, it's wrong to not comply with the cops. You're saying that it was unintelligent to not comply.
It was unintelligent, and the cops like weren't being mean. They're like, all right, come on, we're doing the cop thing. We're gonna take you downtown. He was like, oh, I can't breathe. I'm like, well, he didn't say I can't breathe like after they put the knee on the neck. Like he was claiming that and like refusing to get into the back of the cop car and, causing a scene. Whereas you can just, he's a criminal. He's been arrested before. Just get in the car, go to processing and like have your attorney deal with it in court.
Yeah, and
right.
I completely agree that that's the way to preserve your life. And it's not that is right because it's a due process violation every time you're arrested when you're not a threat in that moment to someone else.
And we can have that discussion.
Right, exactly.
Right. But like, again, if I jump out of the car because I'm white and I go like, hey, let's talk about this. And I go like, hands on the hood. Like, all right, hands on the hood. Because I don't want to get shot. Like it's poor tactic, if anything. They shouldn't have done it. Correct. Yeah, they shouldn't have. Right. But like all 20 minutes leading up to like the knee on the neck was George Floyd being terrible at getting arrested.
And that's why I personally don't do the whole method of I don't answer questions, stuff like that. I'm just like, yep.
Yeah, no, I told you I got into an accident back in June. I got T-boned going through an intersection.
Yep.
And I don't have a driver's license.
Oh.
So like, well, I am screwed, right? And but I'm the victim here. Right, because I got hit going through. I had the green. The guy ran the red.
There, like your car.
What?
Your car was like stuck there, not going to move.
No. But I got into an accident. I can't flee the scene.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like I drove off later, but the cops come up. I'm fine. The car's damaged. They interview me, and I hand them my passport because that's the only ID that I have. And they go like, "Well, where's your driver's license?" I go like, "This is the ID I'm using for this interaction." Go, it's illegal to drive without a driver's license. I go like, I hear what you're saying. This is the idea that I'm presenting for this interaction.
Nice.
Right. Like, I've been there, done that before. Right. And so they take the information. They go like, well, we're going to write you a ticket for driving without a license. Like, okay, fine. I'll deal with that later in court, and you can't drive off. Like, okay, I'll have someone come pick me up, and then they process all the paperwork and they go like, we're going to be nice today. We are not going to give you the ticket for driving without a license because you've been cooperative and you're the victim, right? Now, if I had made a big presentation about like not having a license and I'm a sovereign citizen and I don't need this, I probably would have walked away with the ticket, and maybe not, had to wait for the ride home or whatever, right? But I played my part in that as the victim and was treated as such.
And I hope people listening completely understand that we're not blaming the victim of a cop interaction who gets harmed by cops because they didn't comply. I believe that no one should have to comply with somebody who's just claiming authority over them unjustly.
Yes, but on the street, if you're not going to fight back and shoot the cop, right, then you're going to be hurt in that interaction if you try anything up to that.
Right.
Right. That's not the time for that. There is a time for that. That's not it. You are outnumbered and outgunned. That's the improper time to like execute that tactic.
Right.
And if you can't breathe, right, just get in the back of the car and go get medical help, right? Let them arrest you, let them process you, go see the medic at the jail, right? Continue to say you can't breathe, and then they won't have their knee on your neck, exacerbating the situation.
Why? What else would you think he should do? Just not say he can't breathe?
No, you can say it, but again, it wasn't just that he said it. He was
fighting back.
Well, fighting is strong. He was making it difficult for them to get him in the police car and drive off.
Oh.
Right. He wasn't like pushing and shoving. He was just, stiffening the body and like not ducking your head under the door and, being a nuisance while in handcuffs, already arrested.
Well,
And again, bad martyr, because like at the end of the day, he's a former criminal from Texas who was being arrested for what we would deem to be a legitimate crime in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right? Fraud is a violation of the non-aggression principle. However you handle it, Riley, you mentioned like restitution, fine.
Yeah.
Like I agree with you on that, but we can assess the situation and go like he was being charged with a criminal act and should be adjudicated however you do that. Right? In our wonderful like idealistic society, he gets arbitration and pays restitutions if he's found guilty. You know, in modern society, he gets arrested, he goes in front of the judge. They go like, well, you know, we've got the evidence to you know, and you take it to trial and they present the evidence and so on and so forth and whatever. But it wasn't a non-crime, right? It was fraud.
And another thing is if white people or anyone else wants to get their own martyr and rally behind them, it doesn't have to be murder
Duncan
either.
Lemp.
Yeah.
If you want a white dude. Remember that guy?
If you want a
I
new
do
one,
remember that guy. I remember Duncan Lemp.
it doesn't have to be murder either. That's the thing. Like, it is not right for somebody to get arrested and thrown around and lose
Ross
their job.
Ulbricht, Ian Freeman.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's way more common. You can find one that's way more possibly
But none of those are
sympathetic.
because they're white.
Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't have to be. That's
The average person is going to look at Ian Freeman's case and say, oh, he was accused of money laundering or fraud.
And stealing and romance scamming old ladies.
And yet they're
no,
not
but
going to...
he wasn't accused of those things. He wasn't accused of fraud. Well, he
But
was at
that's
the very
the
beginning, then they
narrative
dropped
that they
it.
put forth.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, they're going to accuse some of these things because they read the newspapers. They read the government report and say, well, he must be absolutely guilty.
Which is why you push back.
Exactly.
Same with Ross Ulbricht, right? Like, oh, a hitman.
Yeah, he
murder
hired
for
him.
hire.
Yep.
Not accused, not charged, not convicted, but that's what
Convicted in
everyone
the-
thinks.
In the court of Skeeter.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Skeeter has no relevance.
Yeah, how relevant is that?
I know, it's a joke.
That's like the bottom part of the totem pole for any sort of justice scheme.
Any kind of like humanity. Bottom totem pole. We've all got our heads on top of a totem pole in heaven, and Skeeter's is on the bottom.
Should be on a pike out front.
It was creepy. So we went way off into a different topic, but we never really talked about this story we were going to get into at the beginning. And I like shows like that where it's not like we're just reading article after article and everything. But just to change the subject a bit, I did want to actually get into this article from Dexterto.com.
Riley? Nope, I'll say it. Reputable news source.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is a reputable news source.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Well, he wasn't sure because this doesn't seem like a reputable news source.
I know, but I thought Riley was taking over the shtick, and
Yeah.
then he didn't want to do it all of a sudden.
I'll let you do it on the Sunday show. I'll do it any day you're not here.
Okay. All right.
So, reputable news source Dexterto.com. Never heard of that in my life. Or that name, even. Like, if you wanted to name your kid after Dexter, the murderer TV guy, you can name him Dexterto and no one would know.
Yeah.
He's one of the new X-Men.
So, what, Dexter the murderer?
Dexterto.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I've never watched that
Doesn't sound
movie.
like a superhero? All right.
I've never watched that movie.
It's okay.
Or any
It's
of those
not a real
movies.
one. I'm just saying. It could be
Oh.
one of the new ones, the way it sounds.
So Dexterto, the superhero website, is talking about this article. Chinese man sends $550K and family's life savings to streamer just so she'd call him bro.
Totally worth it.
Not even...
It wouldn't be worth it for me. That's way too much money.
It's not even that, like, just so she would, like, show him her private parts. Something far. Just so she'd call him bro. How hard is it to get somebody to call you bro, and why is that
If you've never been
valuable?
called bro by a super hot chick online, then you're not living.
You don't understand, Bonnie.
You'll never get it. You're the one saying the bro, not the one receiving the bro.
You'll never get it. Oh my gosh. So it says a man in China has raised eyebrows after using his family's life savings and stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's where the crime is. He stole money.
Yeah.
From who, though?
It doesn't say, or hasn't said yet, but that's crazy. He stole it to hundreds
Goes out of the
thousands.
joint bank account. Like, what are you going to do?
To send to a live streamer. It's extremely common for fans of streamers to show appreciation for their content by sending them money, gifts, or subscribing to them, but one man in China took his obsession way too far. As reported by the South China Morning Post, a man with the surname Hong became so enthralled with a streamer calling him brother, he ended up draining his family of their savings to send her cash. And it actually says brother there.
I wonder how long this went on.
Yeah.
Like, send me 5,000 and I'll call you bro. And then she like doesn't do it. It's like, well, make it another 5,000. Like, I promise. It's like Charlie Brown and Lucy and the football.
I'm not
Like,
going to loop the
I'll
football.
totally call you bro this time.
That's so bad if true. And that makes it even more obvious what's going on here, that like these people enjoy being like humiliated in a way. Like,
that's a fetish.
That is a fetish for sure. Some people like to be called names and stomped on or whatever by
and some people
powerful
like to
women.
be forced to pay them money. Like, there was this gay guy I lived with, and he would tell guys he was texting, you're pissing me off. Send me $50 for what you just said. For like nothing. And they would.
And it works.
Yes. And so like that's definitely a thing.
Desperation is key.
Specifically, sending money can be a form of like, oh, that embarrasses me and it's hot, which is so weird.
Financial domination is a thing.
Yep, that's what it's called.
Findoms.
The man even resorted to just eating plain steamed buns while sending everything he had to the unnamed creator. But if it means by family, if it means like his wife and kids, oh my God, how embarrassing if you're the wife, you know?
Yeah,
Not
that would
saying
be
she
really
should-
embarrassing.
Not saying she should feel guilty, like
Take
it's
care
her
of your
fault
man
or
and he
anything.
wouldn't stray.
I'm just saying I would be embarrassed. So the man,
Let him fill those buns with some meat. They won't be sending money to streamers.
they're just plain. So eventually his family cut off access to their funds. So Hong resorted to breaking the law to acquire funds to send. How
All
he,
right.
He's already like a genius for being able to steal over $300,000, but how'd you do that?
I don't know.
The man, who was making deliveries as part of his family's hardware business, began stealing copper materials.
Oh, there you go.
And sold the items to waste recycling stations. There's
Yeah.
$300,000 in that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Copper's one of those things that they don't ask a lot of questions about when you take it to recycle. So a lot of poorer neighborhoods will, like, you know, like especially Detroit was one. As people abandoned their homes in Detroit, the looters went in and ripped all the copper out.
Yeah.
And you can't rebuild it because once you put in the copper and then walk away and go home for the night, they swoop back in and steal the copper again.
Yeah, there was like copper statues that got stolen in Salt Lake City. Do you remember that, Riley? That was while I lived there, so probably like 2015 or something.
I probably don't remember that because
Just like in a very like high...
I know they've reported on copper being stolen, but I don't remember specifics.
No one's going after the Statue of Liberty, though. How bizarre.
I don't know what it was like a much smaller statue, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know exactly where or what statue was, but it was like in a highly trafficked area. Like somebody would take this whole statue and just walk away with it.
Yeah,
and sold
it doesn't surprise me.
They probably had to like melt it down so that way the people would take it and not be like, whoa, this is that statue from blah 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 street
Yeah.
or whatever. So 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. Call in with whatever's on your mind. Change the subject. Whatever you want. It's up to you. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. It has led the White House to suggest a ceasefire in Gaza is now, quote, more likely. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
A senior Palestinian official has come out to say that Hamas is open to discussing all ideas and proposals, but still has not been presented with a new deal. We need to take into account what we've really been hearing over this past week or so, really from the United States, saying that they hope to use this ceasefire in Lebanon as a catalyst to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. But really what we are seeing on the ground is this main sticking point that has been coming up time and time again, and that is the end to the war. Hamas has been saying once again that it wants a full comprehensive pullout of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and Israel has been saying that it believes that the only way to get back these 101 Israeli hostages is through military pressure. So what we can expect is a lot more diplomacy in the coming days, a lot more of a push to try and finally get this ceasefire over the line after 14 months of fighting and 44,000 people killed in the Strip.
US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin has criticized the choice. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee highlighted the importance of an FBI independent from the executive branch and insisted the current director has not been influenced by President Biden.
This Department of Justice has brought charges against a Democratic U.S. Senator in New Jersey, a Democratic congressman in Texas.
And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the U.S. But when she does, she could be in a lot of trouble. Larry Kofsky reports.
The 57-year-old woman was to have come back Saturday night, but the Daily News reports Delta refused to fly her after she caused a disturbance at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, where she was awaiting deportation. The woman, a Russian citizen with a U.S. green card, somehow managed to sneak past security and Delta gate agents to board Flight 264 to Paris. Flight attendants became suspicious when they noticed her moving from bathroom to bathroom during the flight. When she does return, the woman is likely to face both state and federal charges, including theft of services. Larry Kofsky.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And we've been podcasting since podcasts began, but we're launching a new podcast anyway. Our new podcast is a 30 to 45-minute show, releasing once a week. And you can find it at freetalkcast.com. It's brought to you by the same people who bring you Free Talk Live, and we'd love for you to check it out. The existing radio archive isn't going anywhere. This is just a new show designed from the start to be a podcast. So check it out at freetalkcast.com. I was actually listening to one today because I heard there was tea, aka drama. Not really, but just
no, somebody disagreed on a podcast?
Right, that really is.
How dare they?
Sometimes you wonder, like, why is it that people want us to disagree on Free Talk Live, but then
because
something like that
they
happens
like the controversy. They love the discussion.
Yeah, it's way more interesting to hear people that disagree talking about something.
Yeah.
So,
controversy creates cash.
That is something that is happening, and I won't get too far into it because you can go listen to it at freetalkcast.com or go to our SoundCloud. It's posted there among our Free Talk Live archives. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley,
and Richie Rich. And also, before you move on, I want to say this about the podcast, because this is like, I don't want to call it a problem with the podcast, but definitely a downside. You're going to listen to the podcast, and you may form an opinion, and you've got no outlet to express that opinion on the podcast. Right? There's no guest, there's no calling in. You can comment. Right, but I don't know if they read the podcast comments. I don't know if they address them on future podcasts. And I would say, like, that's one of the benefits of the live radio show. Is if you listen to the podcast, you go like, I have something to say. Well, then call the live show. We can talk about it again here.
But if you do that, you better be able to explain the whole thing because we're not
going to
all on
recap it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't listened to most of them, but I've been listening to this one. So in the beginning of the show, we were talking about this guy who, and it's just, there's a conversation here about like the whole entire world and what the heck is going on here. It's not
More
just
power to the streamer.
Yeah, it's not just a conversation about this specific story, but this one is like an extreme, crazy version of something that's going on all over the world right now. I think that it's kind of sad that, okay, people ask, why spend money on OnlyFans when you can just get porn for free online? The reason is people...
Personal interaction.
People, want to feel like they're actually in some sort of a relationship with this
And
person.
that's the thing about, relationships, quote unquote relationships these days. It's a lot of them are, pseudo relationships. In other words, they feel like they have a relationship with the people they're listening to in their headphones or watching on YouTube or wherever they're watching the streamer.
Yeah.
And, some people feel like they've had a relationship with Ian and Mark, so to speak, maybe a friendship or
And
whatever.
now you too, Riley, because you've been on for a while.
Yeah.
I think that it's the thing about it though is like Ian takes it too far, and sometimes it's like, oh, they don't know me at all. They literally have gotten to know a part of you because you expressed it, and then on top of that, they
But it's
can
one
call
way.
in. Well, not on Free Talk Live because they can always call in,
But some of them don't.
and some of them we get to know them. But yeah, the people that don't interact at all, you have a one-way relationship with the person you're listening to, but. Relationships are all kinds of different relationships. You literally have a relationship with Ian, even if you've never talked to him. It's just that you have to accept the type of relationship is one way.
And Ian doesn't have a relationship with you necessarily.
Well, he has a relationship as in you are a person who listens to him talk. If somebody came to my house and sat silently while I just talked to them and then left without saying a word, I would have a relationship with them. But a very specific, weird relationship.
It'd be weird. Yeah.
Very weird relationship.
I'm not saying it's weird to just listen to somebody on the radio either, because that's obviously a different thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think a lot of time people think relationship equals sexual partners or something.
I'll bring this up again because I do like listening to Gardner Goldsmith.
Yeah.
And I've never met him.
Oh, really?
And I would like to. It just does not, we don't frequent the same social circles.
And also, he doesn't get out as often anymore.
Whatever the reason.
And whenever he is about to, sometimes it gets canceled because of his life circumstances.
Right.
So, yeah.
But at one point, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine before I moved here. So this is like a long time ago when I was only listening to him. And my buddy goes like, dude, what you're saying, it sounds a lot like that guy you were listening to. And so I thought about it. And it was more to the effect of Gardner Goldsmith was the voice of my conscience. Because like I internalized what he said so much that his views is what I projected out when having these discussions about freedom and liberty, etc. Right? But he doesn't know me. He doesn't even know how much of a fan, unless he listens to this show, he doesn't know how much of a fan of his I am.
He's an influence on you, though.
He's definitely an influence. And I've interacted with him a couple of times on social media, but it's never turned into like a friendship online. But that was way after, he was the voice in my head. Like when I was thinking.
He has a great voice.
Right. But it was like literally, as I was thinking about liberty topics and freedom topics and just reflecting on them, it was like through his filter.
That's happened with my boyfriends. Sometimes I'm like thinking in my own head and I literally am like, oh, and then he would say this. And I'm like, oh, that's so creepy that like that has gotten ingrained in my head.
But it's a
not
one-way
literally
thing.
creepy, it's my boyfriend, but so that's happened with boyfriends and Ian. And I feel like that happens so much less because of the fact that Ian's been gone for like a year, and that's kind of sad to think about. And it's also happened to me with Mark Passio. Like, I listen to Mark Passio every single day. He has hundreds of podcast episodes. You're supposed to listen to them from start at one and keep going that way on whatonearthishappening.com. And I just try whenever I'm saying something that is straight from the Mark Passio mouth. I don't know why I said it like that. Straight from Mark Passio's mouth. I try to be like, and Mark Passio likes to say, and I agree with him for saying this, because then I feel less, I don't know.
Weird about it?
Yeah, less like, I like at least in giving credit where credit's due. Yeah. And I
but
don't
it
know
also
him at all.
highlights the
I've met
influence
him.
that we have on the show for people that are just listening to us and may not be calling in as frequently as they'd like, or at all.
You know, for me, Free Talk Live has been a huge influence on me in my life. Like, I
too.
became an amplifier in 2016 and then went on to do the digest, and that spurred me to go be like, hey, I want to go visit New Hampshire and meet Mark and Ian because of who they are. I mean, I've always had this... I've been listening to talk radio ever since I was a kid, and I've had this quote-unquote parasocial relationship with the various hosts, like, you know, Art Bell doing Coast to Coast AM. I wanted to meet him at one point, but never did. You know, George Norrie perhaps doing Coast to Coast nowadays.
I love him too. I don't know why so many people think he's just like a huge downgrade. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. But, you know, this is the first time in my life, you know, meeting Mark and meeting Ian, that I've had the experience of meeting talk show hosts that have influenced my life, and I've listened to in my ears going to school or doing whatever, or listening to while doing dishes, and here I am doing the show. I mean, to me, this is an awesome experience. I get to sit behind this microphone that Ian and Mark have, well, maybe not, well, at least one of them
occasionally they've sat in
behind.
that chair.
Yes.
All
and
of
you
them
know,
have sat in that chair. Or both of them have definitely sat in that chair.
this is exciting for me because
Well, they're usually 1 and 2.
I get to be on the show that Ian and Mark helped create.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm on it with Ian's wife, and that to me is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
And when I first met Ian,
For you, maybe.
when I first met Ian, I did not want to be on the show. And when he asked me if I wanted to be on the show the first time, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that was never my intention. And I think a lot of people think that that was my intention. It's not that I'm like, oh, that would be embarrassing or something. I'm not like Riley. It's just not the truth. It's just literally not the truth. And then I had to take over like big time and do the show way more often, because not only did Ian go to jail, but a bunch of people abandoned us because, oh, Ian's out of sight, out of mind. And I am happy that Free Talk Live still exists because of that. Like, I am proud of that, even though it's not like what I want to be spending my time doing like every single day. And that's why huge reason to move to weekends only. But it is great that it still exists, and I love Free Talk Live. And I feel like we just kind of switched this to talking about how we love Free Talk Live, but it also, oh my God, was bigger for me than Mark Passio was for me. So like when I was listening to Free Talk Live in Texas, I didn't miss an episode. I listened to it live from 6 to 9 instead of 7 to 10 in San Antonio while delivering Uber Eats. And if I had to get out of the car and like the restaurant was taking too long, I was like, oh my God, I'm missing it. I'm like so annoyed right now. And anyways, whenever it went off, I would be like, oh, now I'm alone again, and I'm sad because it was during 2020, and it was like I would be doing Uber Eats all alone, not even many cars on the road all day. My husband at the time working like
I knew she had a husband at the time.
I told you.
She tried to deny this a little bit earlier.
It just didn't count. It doesn't count. And I didn't even tell my parents, and that's kind of mean, but it's because I was like, we just should have gotten an annulment, but I didn't know that was a thing at the time. Because it was like, not... Anyways, I don't want to incriminate myself.
Okay.
And I don't think I can. I think time is over for it to be incriminating, but anyways.
I will also say that Free Talk Live is, maybe he doesn't think of it this way, but like Ian's legacy.
Yeah.
Because of how long it's gone on. And because of his contributions to the activism community and the liberty community as a whole, through Free Talk Live and through the other works that he's done, in his other forms of activism, I feel a level of responsibility to continue to do the show in his absence.
Me too.
So that he can return to his legacy sooner rather than later, but definitely when he gets out.
Yeah, because otherwise the government won in taking it down.
Yeah,
Right.
and you know, for me, I look at it as we have a stewardship over the show. Ian is in a cage, essentially. Or we could call it the spiritual retreat if we really wanted to. But, you know, essentially Ian is in a cage involuntarily. And we are carrying on his legacy by doing the show from his house, from the studio.
Yep.
And for me, I want to do the best I can and being a good steward over the show and doing my part to keep the show going while I'm here.
I love that. That's a great way to put it. It's like how God... Well, Gene is God. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
But it's just like how God told people when he made them in the Bible, you have a like stewardship over the animals and the planet to take care of. If you believe
Yeah.
that literally happened or not, doesn't matter.
That's a fine comparison.
I think it's nice. So, the reason we got into having relationships with radio show hosts, unless
Because
you're me.
that dude definitely worships the streamer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Parasocial relationships.
This guy went way further than me. I just came here and I was like, if I meet Ian, I bet he'll love me. This guy was like, if I give this girl $550,000, I bet she'll call me bro.
You didn't even have to pay Ian.
Nope.
It's like,
That'd be
I'm
weird.
cute and I do activism. And Ian was like, I'm in love.
Yeah.
I'm in love already. She likes activism. I like activism. She's really cute.
Even Matt, who told, or who was there when I met Ian, Matt, are sometimes, like a long time ago, show hosts that used to live here. He said that right when he saw me, he was like, oh, this girl is 100% Ian's type. And I was like, I just knew it. I don't know how, because I didn't know what his ex-girlfriend looks like.
That's because you were younger at the time.
Some people compare me to her, but anyways. So this guy, where do you think he thought this was going to go, you know?
Well, in his mind and in his heart, he probably thought that she was going to stop whatever she was doing and become his.
Do you really think that? Because
Yes,
I wonder
because
that.
that's what simps do.
Interesting. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But I wonder if that's true in every case. Like, do they all really believe that she will stop what she's doing and be his, or...
They think it. They're wrong. They're absolutely
Yeah.
wrong, but they think it.
But I wonder if there are any, like, self-aware simps out there who are like, listen, self, she's never going to be ours, but we also still want to do this.
I'm sure there might be some out there, but typically deep down, simps are lonely people who want attention. And if they can get it from a female, a beautiful female at that, they're like, oh yeah, sign me up right away.
If I give this girl $10,000, she will be my girlfriend.
Hmm.
And instead, she goes on vacation with her boyfriend.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, that's what happens.
Exactly.
Simping is easy. It's just foolish if you're the guy.
Yeah, if people don't know what simping is, that's exactly what we're describing. It's just a person on the internet. You don't even have to be a person who gives money.
It predates the internet, by the way. It's
Oh.
just, one of those things.
It doesn't even have to be money. It can just be like attention and likes and stuff on the internet. Like every time she posts a picture, you're there to say something about it.
Oh, you're so beautiful.
We would call that dude an orbiter, right? The dude in the
I've heard
friend
that.
zone that's always there, but is never going to be a romantic thing, And if you find yourself in the orbit and she's dating somebody else, right? The wise thing to do is like escape that orbit as quick as possible.
It's really sad for guys sometimes that they can't just be friends with girls without getting called a simp or an orbiter. Like, tell me if you think this is simpy. In 2019, I had a boyfriend that then broke up with me, and I was so sad that my good friend from work spent the whole day with me and like bought me breakfast, tacos, and we just hung out talking while I was like crying and sad and stuff, and it was never going to go anywhere, and it didn't go anywhere.
Did he want it to go somewhere?
I don't know, but he still got called a simp for it. Well,
Okay.
not simp, but like, oh, you know what that's all about? I was like, what do you mean? He's just being nice. He
Right.
was a friend.
Maybe. It's a fine line. So this is the difference, right? Like I have not a lot because I don't have a lot of friends in general, but I have like female friends, and there's no romantic desire whatsoever.
Yep. I'm the same way. I have some female friends that I'm not romantically interested in.
So I hang out with them. I hang out with their boyfriend or their husband or whomever it is, right? And we're cool because we're just friends. And if they needed like a ride, I'd give them a ride, and their husband would be cool with it because, hey, dude, it's just a friend. And like, I'm not romantically, I'm not desiring her romantically.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were desiring her romantically and I was trying to like undermine or step in as soon as he stepped out, right? That is orbiter. That is simp-like behavior.
Right.
So it depends. Like you
Just waiting.
got to ask your friend, like, hey, dude, like, were you trying to get something? Were you trying to go somewhere with this? If you wanted to, if he's ever expressed an interest and you like rejected him, like, oh, and he got all sad and depressed, but like still stuck around, that's a simp.
What happened was he basically got pressured by his dad into joining the military, and then when he joined the military, he's got a whole different life than me, and then I moved to New Hampshire.
Well, then he escaped the orbit, right? But I've been there, and like as soon as they find like a romantic partner that's not me, like I'm out, right? I will court until the selection is made,
So in your situation, just being friends with a girl and then giving her a ride because she needs a ride somewhere, wouldn't it be unfair that somebody might call you a simp for that?
Yeah.
I think that's what happens a lot. So maybe you could say that my situation was like, oh, you don't know that he wasn't secretly simping.
Well, that's why I asked what his intentions were. If he's ever expressed a romantic desire in you, totally a simp. Right? If he's just been like a dude that's there and he's like had girlfriends and you guys have hung out and it's just, I've known him since grade school, right? And there's never been anything romantic. He's just cool and whatever, then fine. Like he's a guy friend. Like that's fine too.
All of my current
But most guy friends are simps.
that aren't like hang out with like friends with Ian and like know Ian in real life and like would never do anything weird. So like all my free stater friends are an exception, but then all my friends who aren't free staters and are men are gay.
Okay.
That's what it seems like. I don't really have that many just like anymore, like now that I'm married. So that kind of says something. My friends that were guys kind of fell off and don't talk to me now that I'm married.
They were pursuing you romantically and then exited the orbit.
Maybe.
And
Possible.
some of them, you know,
But not the gay guys.
I'll call them out, especially within the Free State community. Right? Some of them are probably still simping because there's not a lot of attractive libertarian females out there, and most of them are already taken.
I still think it's just not fair that it's like, oh, the instant conversation is, oh, they're a simp. Like
Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason.
I guess so.
Right? Like if they prove to not be, then fine, I was wrong. Right? But it's an easy assumption to make early on because that's the behavior of most.
Well, you admit it. You have friends that are girls.
I don't have a lot though. Yeah.
So we were talking about this guy in China who I want to know where the lady
China.
was. Like, was she in China too?
She was in China.
China.
That's how
She's being
Trump says it.
Chinese.
Oh, is it in the article? Like, where's she from?
Yeah, that's what I want to know
Okay.
too. So he was stealing copper from his family business just to make money to send her more money, and he stole from his family's business over $300,000 to send to her during that. I'm not sure if this is a picture of him actually under arrest, but it's not showing his face here. It says when the authorities showed they had evidence of his financial transactions, of course they do, it's China. Hong
Social credit score.
Yeah. Hong confessed to 40 thefts. In total, he had stolen $316,000, which he sent to the streamer. And it's like, whoa, how much money can you make on copper if 40 thefts equals $316,000? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe his family owns like a building skyscrapers business. So he said, I didn't want to meet her. I just wanted her to hear her call me brother. So he didn't want to meet her.
Allegedly. That part I'm not buying.
He didn't want the
But
cops to think he was a simp.
Right.
Yeah, probably not.
Now,
I mean,
now he's covering it.
Listen, I'm not a simp. I just wanted to hear her call me brother.
That's worse.
That's
worse. If you're going to spend that much money, like, get AI to call you bro.
Yeah.
Or again, dude, like, send me some money.
It says
I'll call you bro.
in total, he had sent the creator 4 million won, which is $550,000, which shocked the online community.
That's a lot of money.
If you just want to hear her call you brother, why not record it and play it on repeat? One user asked. So yeah, like what you guys saying,
Call somebody else
AI.
brother and like, oh, yes, I've got the voice now.
Maybe he should see a psychiatrist, said another. Definitely. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
This whole thing is underlining a real problem that people are lonely.
He's a lonely man. He's struggling with his own self-identity. And, you know, having someone reach out to him or maybe not reach out to him, you know, socially or whatever, but on a stream, call him brother is going to
Seeking
make him feel
validation.
good. He's seeking that validation like Richie Rich said. He wants that validation. He wants to be absolutely recognized by this human being because he's absolutely lonely.
He's going to go brag to his friends. Dude, she totally called me bro.
That's the weirdest part
It
about
only
it.
cost me $500,000.
That's the weirdest part about it, that I don't know anyone who is like really interested in hearing a woman call them bro. But like that must be a very specific thing he's into in a weird way.
Maybe.
Like if he means brother as in, because the title said bro and everything in the article said brother.
Yeah.
What if he's like into like sister relationships? That's weird.
That is a little weird.
So we do have a caller on the line. I'm going to go to Sarah. Sarah, what's on your mind? It's Sarah, New Mexico.
Yes. Well, today I got to use the Hawk light today.
What's that? A Hawk light?
High intensity activated signal walk, I think it stands for.
Oh wow, so sophisticated.
What is that?
Well, it's like if you press a button, it'll stop the traffic so you could cross. It's
I
a
hate them so much.
pedestrian button.
I actually would love that.
I hate them so much. I know you two like them, and I hate them.
You have a legitimate reason, Riley.
I do.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
And a
Whenever-
voluntary community would probably set something up for you to get.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm sure they would.
Whenever I'm annoyed about someone pressing that button, it's not someone like Riley. It's someone who, first of all, Keene, New Hampshire, not New York City or something where it's like, oh, understandable, I'll never get the chance to go if I don't press this freaking button. No. Keene, New Hampshire, when there's a car coming and all you have to do is wait 5 seconds for it to pass, but instead you press that button and everyone's stuck there, I'm going to drive right in front of you when all of the cars are red and you'll have to stop. And I've done it. I do it all the time on that street on West Street. I'm not going to hit someone for pressing the button, but I'm going to let them know how stupid that was.
See, I have
But you would actually, if you get a red light on those Hawk light, you would actually run it.
Yeah, I do it 24/7. I do it every time it happens.
Whenever there's not a cop around.
Yeah.
I will say this, on my drive to my normal job at work in the morning, I have to pass by some crossing guards.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that annoys me the most is the crossing guard will not use the button. So just walk out and stop traffic like when we have the green light.
Why the heck do you need a crossing guard if you have the button?
Because it's a school zone.
Oh,
and you wanna,
well.
So it's
So it's
fine.
like little kids?
Yeah. So like push the button
Mhm.
and then when it's their turn, like walk out with your stop sign and make sure that nobody's running it
Mhm.
to protect the short people that you may not be able to see over the hood for.
Mhm.
Right. But she doesn't push the button. She just walks out on a green light,
What the
stops
heck?
traffic for the kids to cross the street. And that's equally as annoying.
Yeah, that's completely mind-blowing that that's happening at all. That's, oh my god, I've never seen that. I'd be so annoyed. So 603-283-6160 is the phone number here. Thank you, Sarah, for the number, or for the call. And anyone else can call in at 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. Don't go anywhere.
When you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. It has led the White House to suggest a ceasefire in Gaza is now, quote, more likely. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
A senior Palestinian official has come out to say that Hamas is open to discussing all ideas and proposals, but still has not been presented with a new deal. We need to take into account what we've really been hearing over this past week or so, really from the United States, saying that they hope to use this ceasefire in Lebanon as a catalyst to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. But really what we are seeing on the ground is this main sticking point that has been coming up time and time again, and that is the end to the war. Hamas has been saying once again that it wants a full comprehensive pullout of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and Israel has been saying that it believes that the only way to get back these 101 Israeli hostages is through military pressure.
US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin has criticized the choice. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee highlighted the importance of an FBI independent from the executive branch and insisted the current director has not been influenced by President Biden.
This Department of Justice has brought charges against a Democratic U.S. Senator in New Jersey, a Democratic congressman in Texas.
And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the U.S. But when she does, she could be in a lot of trouble. Larry Kofsky reports.
The 57-year-old woman was to have come back Saturday night, but the Daily News reports Delta refused to fly her after she caused a disturbance at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, where she was awaiting deportation. The woman, a Russian citizen with a U.S. green card, somehow managed to sneak past security and Delta gate agents to board Flight 264 to Paris. Flight attendants became suspicious when they noticed her moving from bathroom to bathroom during the flight. When she does return, the woman is likely to face both state and federal charges, including theft of services. Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at Donald Trump's nominee to be the next FBI director. Kash Patel is an outspoken and uncompromising supporter of the president-elect and his Make America Great Again agenda. A former chief of staff to the acting defense secretary in Trump's first term, he has endorsed the need for retribution against the president-elect's political enemies, telling Trump advisor Steve Bannon last December that he is firmly committed to unleashing the country's judicial system against people responsible for upending the first Trump administration.
The one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go-around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
That message strikes fear into many Trump opponents, including some who testified against the president at his 2 impeachment trials. Kash Patel, a former federal prosecutor and public defender, will need to secure Senate confirmation before he gets to sit atop the FBI, a process that could be sticky if a handful of Republicans take issue with his nomination. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the US. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
Researchers at Princeton University's Department of Sociology have made a major leap in our understanding of social interaction.
We conducted trials in 90 supermarkets across the country and found that essentially 100% of people disapproved of having a stranger hit them across the face and then expose their genitalia right in the middle of the supermarket, which we found very interesting.
Researchers observed similar reactions when the subject hurled shopping carts toward unsuspecting shoppers, stood in the deli section rubbing cold cuts against his chest, or got right near cashier's ears and began loudly singing Yankee Doodle.
In this particular trial, we had our subject, Kevin, take off his shirt, tape a banana to his forehead, and charge at various shoppers like he was a rhino. Within 20 minutes, store owners called the police and he was arrested, allowing us to come to the conclusion that this type of behavior is still considered at least somewhat taboo.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Adam for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Adam went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Adam and everyone who supports us. And again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
Does Adam have a wife named Eve? I'm wondering.
It'd be really interesting.
Or a husband named Steve.
That would be funny.
Now that's okay.
Wow, now that's okay.
Now it's
whatever the Bible said. Adam and Steve is officially okay now.
Well,
It's Adam and
the
Eve.
Christians out there listening are like, you can't say that. It's not Adam and Steve. It's Adam and Eve.
I said it. What are they going to do? Call in and yell at me?
He said lots of
Again.
things Christians wouldn't like today.
Yeah, they're going to call in and yell at you, Richie Rich, and say you're a horrible human being. You're going to hell.
Well, let's
That's
see
okay.
if that's what Kadu is calling in to do. Kadu in Connecticut, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't even like when women call me bro. That was kind of interesting.
That's a really good point. It's not even like a feminine thing. Like if Ian calls me dude, which I don't think he's made like that mistake in a really long time, but I'm like, ew, don't do that. That's weird. So I don't think he would really like me calling him bro, you know?
What about other guys calling you dude?
I'm just
I
like,
know, it's
why are you
like-
doing that? But
Okay.
I'm not like, hey.
It's like when you said that I look like one of your siblings. I was thinking, go to hell. But I honestly don't.
He does.
I honestly,
I haven't seen him
honestly
or
don't
your
think, like-
siblings.
Yeah.
Except for maybe I've
I
seen
don't-
like little brother and Elizabeth.
Yeah, that lived here, yeah.
Okay.
I actually didn't even like when women call me like dude or man, and I was trying to figure out why. And I think it has something to do with that's how guys usually talk to each other, like you know.
Because you're in the
dude,
friend
man.
zone.
Yeah.
You're automatically in the
Yeah,
friend
right.
zone.
Yeah, definitely in like high school
Dude,
where
man.
I have so many friends all the time. It's like I would definitely call a guy that was just my friend bro and dude, and I said it like a lot. In fact, it was like cringy. Like I really talked like a bro.
And you broke their heart every time you did it.
No.
You just didn't realize it at the time.
Body of the heartbreaker.
I've kind of lessened up on the dude or man thing because it is really common, and I think it might just
Man
be
too,
a
yeah.
kind of generic thing to say. Like
My
dude
dad
or
calls me
so-
man, bro, and dude. No, wait, not bro. Sorry, my dad calls me man and dude. And
Dude is unisex.
Ian always laughs whenever he hears my dad call me. He's like, "Hey man, listen to this," and Ian's like, "Did your dad call you man?"
Bro,
If you're getting
Bro,
called
I'm
sweetie,
never-
babe,
I'm
honey, like you're in.
bro, I'm never going to like bro, but the dude or man thing, I kind of accepted. I might have been a little irrational about that, or just kind of weirdly uptight about that. But
now you
I
don't know how
was
the trannies feel
call
about
in.
pronouns.
I was calling in. I want to tell you guys, I found this amazing philosophical YouTube channel. I think he might be like a genius of our time. I've watched all the videos, and I feel like I maybe increased like somewhere from like 5 to 10 IQ points, possibly, just from watching this guy. He's brilliant. So it's called Evolutionary Capitalism. The channel.
Does he really have a channel?
I mean, yeah, I found it. It's on YouTube. You just type in evolutionary capitalism, utilitarianism. All the problems.
Is it Skeeter? Is it actually Skeeter? And can we see what he looks like?
I think, yeah. You guys know him? Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, he's great. Yeah, just go into YouTube, type in evolutionary capitalism, utilitarianism. I was struggling throughout life. I didn't have all the
No,
answers.
there really is a YouTube channel with 98 subscribers called Evolutionary Capitalism or Evolutionary Utilitarianism.
Yes, but is it Skeeter, and do we get to see what he looks like? That's the
picture
question.
is the guy saying aliens.
Okay. Oh man! All right.
So that I'm not saying that.
No idea. I had no idea that you guys knew him, but ever since I've listened, all the gaps in my understanding of the universe have been filled.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
If you're pitching satire, you're doing a very good job of
He posts a lot
convincing me that you don't
Oh.
know who Skeeter is.
He definitely doesn't like to show himself, but I'll see later if it really is Skeeter. Like,
Okay.
it's possible it really is Skeeter, but here's...
Okay.
Oh, wait, it is him, Kadu?
It is, yeah, it is him.
So
and,
here's him.
And have you actually listened to it? And is it as bizarre as his calls?
I can do something.
Okay.
If you guys keep talking.
I was just scrolling because this is the call-in show that you control.
Like ultra logical, like almost. Like
Oh
a
yeah, that's
Terminator.
totally Skeeter.
Yeah, it doesn't sound crazy.
That's the guy he's interviewing?
Aggression is naturally expensive because, of course, the victim's gonna fight you.
Wow, so it is Skeeter.
He's going to have all of our clips up there now and rebut them just on his own channel.
Yeah.
So he
Good.
has...
Stop calling.
Yeah. That's kind of funny because there's so many times where he's like, you guys didn't let me talk, and I'm just like, Skeeter, you can start your own stuff, you can start your own videos and talk all you want, and he has never said, oh, I have my own videos. He didn't want us to know.
Or
He didn't
maybe it's
figure it
new.
out.
Maybe it's new if it's only got like 98 people. How long has it been going on?
The one I just played you a little piece of was 9 months old.
Oh, okay.
It's not too long.
The oldest one is 1 year old.
Good job finding this.
And it's
Kadu.
called, yeah, seriously, good job.
Not
It's-
that I would have spent any time looking for it,
Yeah,
but I'm
right.
glad you did.
It's called his first video is called The Relative Theory of Evolutionary Value, and it is 4 minutes and 44 seconds long.
Okay.
So at least maybe if you go there, you can find maybe a well-spoken,
Well-articulated argument for his position.
maybe you
luck.
can try to understand what he actually believes if you go there. But moving on, we have David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Have you played any bagpipes yet, David?
I'm doing it right now, dude.
That's great radio.
Yeah. Riley started it. Don't go blaming me, bro.
I'm not blaming you, bro.
That'll be $500,000.
That will be $500,000, by the way. Oh, I forgot to ask Kadu. I want to ask him if he is openly a simp because he was like, hey, I didn't like when you said I looked like you were one of your siblings because he sent me a picture of himself.
And you totally rejected him by cutting him off so quickly.
I didn't. No, he hung up.
Oh,
by the
okay,
way.
all right.
I had more to ask him, but he hung up. But no, he sent me a picture of himself and was like, my eyes are green. And I was like, whoa, you look like you could be one of my siblings. Like, you look like a mixture of my siblings. And that apparently he said it bothered him. So I wanted to know if he's openly a simp, because then we could have, like, interviewed a simp.
Okay.
But I don't know if he is or if he would be insulted by that. I don't know.
Has he made claims in the past that would lead you to believe he is a simp?
Claims?
Okay. I'm just,
No.
he's not on air right now, but whatever.
Claims, no.
Have you ever
Sometimes it's
simped,
just
David?
the amount that he responds to all my things.
Every day, man. I do it every day. Yeah, I got chicks all over the world, man.
But the thing is, like,
simp up to 'em.
Jessica Alba.
I think some people might think that I'm like prideful, but even though he responds to all my things, I'm at least humble enough to think it might be just because he enjoys the show and wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I think Kadu's a simp, and I just wanted to go back and say that because that would be mean.
Unless he really wants you romantically.
I wanted to ask him that question, though, and he went away too fast. So sorry, David. What did you call in about?
I forgot now. Thanks, bro.
Did you want Riley romantically, David?
Oh, gross.
Not anymore.
You
not
called
anymore,
and started
not
talking
anymore.
about him.
Not since he offended me the other day. No way, dude.
Do you want to blow on his bagpipes, David?
that fantasy is over. But hey,
Squeeze his music sack, David.
What?
Wanted Riley to bag you.
Oh my God, that's.
Oh, you guys are teabag me, whatever.
I've got a girlfriend. Thank you.
You keep saying it. I haven't seen her, but neither of you.
I've seen her.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm the only one here who's seen her.
Peter has been hiding in plain sight for years, dude. He's on your YouTube chat every night.
Oh.
How did you not?
We don't pay attention to the YouTube chats.
I didn't think about that. Maybe I have seen him before, and then I would have just thought, oh, there's Skeeter with his channel that he uses to comment, but not thought to go look and see if he has videos. But I don't even remember if I've ever seen it, honestly.
I am talent, and I have a life, so I don't.
Exactly.
I don't do anything with the show beyond the show.
I don't think about Skeeter as soon as the show's over.
Like they're like, have you been in the chat room? No, I have not been in the chat room.
I haven't been in the chat room in a really long time because it's like sometimes they're useful and fun and funny, and then half the time, like there's especially like this one specific one that's in there recently, and I don't think he's like one that's been in there for years or anything, and it's like he thinks, oh, all the other trolls are gonna love this. I'm gonna just like insult Bonnie incessantly for no reason. It's like, well, you're making it like not even like kind of funny. It's not like I don't have a thick skin. It's just like, oh, well, if all I'm gonna come in here is to have no actual conversation, you're just gonna incessantly insult me. That's you like there's a balance, and the other trolls are actually good at that, where it's like there'll be a conversation, then they'll sneak in like a good one at me, and that doesn't make me leave. But it's like, well, if I go into the chat and it's nothing but I'm happy your husband's in prison, like what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's not fun trolling. It's just annoying trolling.
And it's not like good.
Which husband, you polygamist?
Wait, what?
Which husband are you talking about, you polygamist?
The one in prison.
I have a few. I
Aren't they
have
all in prison?
7 or 8.
Oh, is the previous one in prison too?
Bonnie's one that.
She a black? Are you Black Widow, Bonnie? Like all your
They're
men
all in prison.
all your men end up in prison?
No.
Oh my goodness!
Now we know the
You
truth.
solved it, David.
She's one of those that pursues dudes in prison. It's easier that way.
Well, I was programmed.
Like the bow tie killer?
I was MK Ultra programmed at Montauk, New York, and then they tell me who to go after, and I drove all the way from San Antonio to meet Ian, and then he ends up in prison. Is that a coincidence?
Cool, bro.
I'm just kidding. That's just like
Not if it's
people
MK
say.
Ultra.
Yeah.
That was planned. You were planted.
Yeah.
Now we know who the real Fed is.
Me and Nikki
Young
met.
Americans for Liberty is a Fed operation.
Yeah, you think a girl would really join that? Or listen to Free Talk Live? Me and Nikki
Statistically, no.
met Riley. I mean, not Riley. Why did I say
Oh,
that?
snap.
Oh,
Me
man.
and Nikki
Freudian. I told you, Riley.
That was so weird. I wanted to say, me and Nikki met Ian and Matt the same like week. Like Nikki met Matt, and then like 1 week later or less, I met Ian.
Okay.
And Matt was really creeped out by that. He kept saying, like, getting me to have a conversation with him, and then being like, how weird is it though that I met a girl that's perfect for me, and then Ian meets a girl that's perfect for him in the same week, and you guys just came out of nowhere, and I'm just like, I don't know, it's not my fault. But yeah.
See, and I completely feel left out of that. Was I not close enough to the show at that time?
Somebody
Like, come
didn't
on.
show up for you, yeah. Well, back then you were rolling out Saturdays. Maybe if you start being on the show multiple times
Yeah.
a week,
Like me.
somebody will just show up.
You live like next door.
It's
Yeah.
true.
I have to drive like 80 minutes to get here.
It's
80?
true.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
a lot.
And then 80 back. That's not the round trip. That's a one-way deal.
So, David.
But I totally would. I would do this way more often if I was in closer proximity to the studio.
Yeah,
Dang, I didn't
it's
know
true.
it was 8
If I was
minutes.
invited.
So, David, I feel like we didn't let you talk about what you wanted to talk about.
That's because you didn't, bro.
She was talking about like grabbing Wally's bagpipes.
Yeah, exactly. You started it talking about grabbing Riley's bagpipes.
I started bagpipes and stuff. Well, David started it last night.
Oh,
So
you did start it today, I guess.
Using his mouthpiece.
So So aside from illegal Mexican generators running 24/7 because they're retards, how about power? Let's talk about power. Power. Yeah.
What kind of power?
So
Solar.
Oh, how about power over your own life? You know, like being able to listen to nature instead of illegal Mexican generators running 24/7.
Do you walk around barefoot to stay grounded to the earth, David?
I do. I haven't worn shoes in I don't know, 70, 80 years.
At all?
Huh?
At all?
Hardly ever.
Oh, okay.
Well, if I'm at home, why do I need to wear shoes at home? I mean, after all, it's the balmy desert.
I don't like the feeling of being barefoot, so I'm always wearing shoes, whether it's inside
retard, bro.
shoes.
This is going to be the next. This is going to be the next step on your naturalist progression.
She's going to kick you off, David.
Why would that make me a retard?
Because you're not one with
like
nature.
The word, Bonnie. I just like the word. I throw it in whenever I can.
Bro, you're a retard, bro.
I know, bro. You're a retard too. Isn't it cool?
Well, I'm not saying
You guys
you
are removing
shouldn't.
all meaning from that word.
I'm
It
not-
used to be useful.
I am not saying you shouldn't be barefoot, David. It's fine. Like, you can do what you want. I just
Wasn't
simply
offended,
said
bro.
I
wasn't
like to wear
offended,
shoes.
bro. It's cool, man. It's cool. We're cool.
Bro.
So what now, bro?
Bro,
Can we
I
talk
feel
about-
like you're
can we
like...
talk about-
Sweet.
Dude.
Dude, this
Sweet.
is so great.
Talk about the power.
Dave was being
about
so
the power
rude.
that we don't
Facts,
have.
bro.
The power we don't have. Go on.
Yeah. What power don't you have, Bonnie? I mean, I know all the power I don't have.
What power don't I have? I don't have the power for hanging out with my husband whenever I want to because the feds took him.
Well, there you go. Now we're getting somewhere. Just like the county took my peace and quiet.
The county took it, or is it your Mexican neighbors?
Yeah, the neighbors took it, right?
Well, the county won't enforce the law. There's a law against it. The county won't enforce it, even though.
So what they took from you was your money and then didn't give you anything back for it.
Right.
Did you go to them and with a protest sign like, "I'm a tax-paying citizen, quiet down these Mexicans"?
I bet you know what you could do. You could probably just write them a letter saying you intend to sue them if they don't.
A strongly worded letter.
I did, Bonnie. Guess what that gets you?
What?
Bonnie, this is what I was going to tell you.
Oh.
This is why you need to take over a county in addition to a state. Because when you have the county, then here's what they did. When I told them that they're violating my civil rights, if you make a law and then you enforce law for other people or fail to enforce law against certain people, without getting into the constitutional argument, I told them that I would file in the federal court. And guess what that gets you? Then they won't talk to you at all. You call there to get answers, and they won't even talk to you.
Well, yeah, because now it's going to be used in litigation. You can't play that hand that early.
Oh, but wait a minute. You're the government. You still have a duty to do your job. You show up from 9 to 5. You get a paycheck. Somebody calls in because they have a legitimate issue with government that falls under your job duties, and you refuse to talk to them? I don't think so.
Well, now you're compelled to sue, though. So now anything that they can and say will be brought up as part of the lawsuit. So now everything has to go through like the attorneys.
I don't think that excuses them from doing their job.
I get it, but I'm just saying structurally, when you put yourself in that position, it's like, all right, now everything has to go through the attorneys, right? If it's going to be litigious, you got to go through that mechanism.
That sounds like 14th Amendment stuff because if I have a right as a citizen to petition my government to file a lawsuit, why does that mean that the government agency that I'm naming in the lawsuit no longer has an obligation to serve me equally?
Because now you're adversarial with them. If you're going to make the threat, you got to follow through and then compel them through the lawsuit.
Now you got to define adversarial. What does adversarial mean?
In contention with.
Oh, if a citizen is in contention with their government, then their government has no obligation to serve them. Well, so that's why your government doesn't have to serve you guys, because you're in contention and adversarial with your government.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they've already established that. That's Supreme Court, right? The police have no obligation to protect. They have no obligation to do anything that they're contractually
People need to
compelled
realize
to do.
that they say that.
My argument is they have a duty to do the job that they're paid to do, and they're not even doing that job.
Yes, and if they don't have the duty to protect, then they really don't have a duty to do anything else.
Duty to protect and doing your job are two different things.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that one precedes the other, right? They don't have a duty to protect, ergo they don't have the duty to do anything lesser than that either.
I don't agree.
Okay, that's fine too.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but we have some breaking news that broke right after the show started, so I didn't see it. President Biden just pardoned his son Hunter Biden.
Okay.
Just pardoned. President Biden just pardoned.
I'm sure that he farted while he was whatever.
Unsurprising, and you could see it coming. That's probably why he wanted to push the trial before he got out of office.
I had heard people kind of jokingly say that, and Biden could even pardon his own son, and it's possible that could happen. But I thought, well, that's too far. People wouldn't be okay with him doing that.
What was the crime that Hunter Biden was convicted of?
It's a gun charge, right?
Okay. Felony in possession.
So it says that he said he repeatedly said he would not use his executive authority to pardon his son.
Yeah, whatever. Again, like under libertarian principles, should Hunter Biden be able to carry a firearm? Probably.
Yeah. It says Hunter Biden was scheduled to be sentenced on December 12th for his conviction on federal gun charges.
Yeah. And since all gun laws are an infringement on the Second Amendment, this is a reasonable, rational pardon, even under libertarian principles.
He was also set to be sentenced on December 16th in a separate criminal case in which he pleaded guilty to federal tax evasion charges. So
also commendable.
If you are not paying taxes, but your dad is the president, it's fine. If you're accused of not paying taxes and the feds can't even prove it, well, you're going to prison.
Yep. And again, it's not that I would suggest that Hunter Biden go to prison for evading taxes, because that's commendable, right? Prostitution, fine. Not necessarily my thing, but not a violation. Gun charges, not a violation. Drug use, not a violation. Like he's committed no real crimes as far as what the media said. What?
What about all the illegal pay to play that he did all over the world?
Okay, fine. Those if that's fraud, then legitimate crimes, fine. But all the things that they brought up, for him to be facing trial, like, oh, look at the pictures of him smoking crack. Like, all right, who cares?
Yeah.
He was sleeping with prostitutes. All right, who cares?
Yeah.
He bought a gun. Like, that's his right as a human being.
What's weird about this to me? Go ahead, David.
There's one thing that you're missing. It's the allegation is that the Democrats made sure to prosecute Hunter for all of those lesser things so that they could get away with ignoring the real crimes that he committed.
Okay.
That's such a good point. And also the other thing is...
And that they could convict with time for Biden to pardon him.
People have been going to prison, and while Biden is president, they're not getting pardoned by him for lesser things. And then on top of that, he was the author, one of the main authors of the 1995 crime bill. Is that what it was, 1995?
Something like that.
Crime bill that's put so many people in prison for... victimless crimes, and yet he's just like, yeah, well, he's my son, so I'm going to let him out. Yeah. That's what's gross about this.
And those people should also be let out. Hunter Biden should not be imprisoned.
Right.
For those things.
603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. Don't go anywhere. You can call 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Free Talk Live.
I wouldn't snitch them out. I would report them to the police.
Right.
Okay, now
call it what you want.
Now, many states have laws about carrying firearms, even though their constitutions say that it's legal for everyone to own a firearm.
Like New York State.
There's no way to ban it. Would you snitch out somebody that you knew had a firearm?
If they had it illegally, I wouldn't snitch them out. I would report them.
Right.
I got to say, you're a bad American, Ken.
Yeah, I think you're a scumbag, Ken.
You're a communist.
I'm a communist because I want people to be able to carry guns like the Second Amendment says.
He'd snitch on the person, and then the cops would come and infringe it for him.
Felons out there carrying guns at will?
I'm a convicted felon. Do you think I shouldn't be able to protect my wife from an intruder?
I don't think you should have a gun.
How am I going to protect myself if the guy has a gun?
There are many other ways to protect yourself than not having a gun.
You should call the cops, Mark, like any good citizen.
That way the cops can come clean up my corpse after it's all over, right?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Hamas has reportedly been taking part in ceasefire talks in Egypt, which comes as a fragile truce between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel continues to hold. It has led the White House to suggest a ceasefire in Gaza is now, quote, more likely. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
A senior Palestinian official has come out to say that Hamas is open to discussing all ideas and proposals, but still has not been presented with a new deal. We need to take into account what we've really been hearing over this past week or so, really from the United States, saying that they hope to use this ceasefire in Lebanon as a catalyst to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. But really what we are seeing on the ground is this main sticking point that has been coming up time and time again, and that is the end to the war. Hamas has been saying once again that it wants a full comprehensive pullout of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and Israel has been saying that it believes that the only way to get back these 101 Israeli hostages is through military pressure. So what we can expect is a lot more diplomacy in the coming days, a lot more of a push to try and finally get this ceasefire over the line after 14 months of fighting and 44,000 people killed in the Strip.
US lawmakers are reacting to President-elect Trump's pick for FBI director, with many speaking openly for and against Kash Patel. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin has criticized the choice. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee highlighted the importance of an FBI independent from the executive branch and insisted the current director has not been influenced by President Biden.
This Department of Justice has brought charges against a Democratic U.S. Senator in New Jersey, a Democratic congressman in Texas.
And it's unclear when a woman who stowed away last week on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris will be returned to the U.S. But when she does, she could be in a lot of trouble. Larry Kofsky reports.
The 57-year-old woman was to have come back Saturday night, but the Daily News reports Delta refused to fly her after she caused a disturbance at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, where she was awaiting deportation. The woman, a Russian citizen with a U.S. green card, somehow managed to sneak past security and Delta gate agents to board Flight 264 to Paris. Flight attendants became suspicious when they noticed her moving from bathroom to bathroom during the flight. When she does return, the woman is likely to face both state and federal charges, including theft of services. Larry Kofsky.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number here. That's 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear, like t-shirts and hoodies, are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And right at the end of the last call, well, it was the last segment, but at the end of a call that we were on with David from New Mexico, I saw on Drudge Report, just kind of pulled it up while we're talking, and it says that Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter just like an hour ago. So this is the thing. Two things are true at once. I immediately agreed with Richie Rich. I already thought that because I had already heard months ago. Sorry, I had to like clear my throat, but
You got
that
the hiccups.
one of the charges Hunter Biden was facing was a gun charge and one was tax evasion. So on their faces, he shouldn't go to prison for those things. It's like they gave him those charges because they're like, oh, well, that's the thing that I don't know a lot of people understand about the government is that if the government finds out you did a crime, they can just choose not to prosecute you for it.
Of course.
I don't think a lot of people understand that.
If you didn't do a crime, they can make something up and try to prosecute you for it.
I did not understand that before moving here. There's so much about the court system that I did not understand before moving here and going and starting court activism, like attending court cases and being like, well, why this and blah, blah. And every prosecution office, even the one in your town that's like the courthouse near you, the prosecutors look at the things that like the cops or other people I think have brought to them, and they get to decide, this isn't worth our time and I'm not going to prosecute for it, or I'm going for this. This is like the big next one I want to go for. And that gives weird incentives. For one thing, it's like if it was like anything that counted as a crime, they must prosecute, then like I feel like things would be a little more fair because they'd be like, oh, we can't spend our time on this crap. We've got like bigger fish to fry, you know, and they'd be like letting a bunch of people go.
I've spent the night in jail, and then by the time I got to my court case, they had dismissed it without telling me.
Wow.
I just went down there and like, you're not on the docket.
Without telling you to.
Yep. So I wasted, a day of work. I went down, and then because I already had the day off, then I went to the prosecutor's office to get like an actual document that said like, we're not prosecuting you. We're not going to bring this up again. And you don't have to worry about this. And
yeah, instead of them just lying to you
and then bringing it up and me getting served later and having to go through it all over.
Or they're like, you didn't show up to court.
Yep.
So, yeah, the prosecutors decided, they're looking at all this stuff, Hunter Biden, they have evidence of what Hunter Biden has done. And the thing is, I didn't follow this close enough to know exactly what he has done, except I understand that there is some kind of idea that he was doing dealings with Ukrainian company Burisma that might have been illegal in some way, like an insider trading kind of thing, but not trading.
He was on the board with no experience in the energy industry whatsoever, just so that basically he could give the company connections to Joe Biden.
Yep. So he was like given a position, but there was specific illegal things that people were like, he did this, he should be prosecuted for it. But it's like the prosecutors got to look at it and go, well, we don't want to prosecute for that, so we're just not going to. Like, what would happen to us? The president's son? No way. And then they were like, they all came up with a plan and decided, well, we'll charge him so the people will shut up. And then everybody was like, yay, Hunter Biden got charged criminally. It's happening. We're going to take down Fauci next. And it's like...
Of course, they thought that, but, you know.
Now, I will also say this. I'm fine. Like, when they decided to prosecute Donald Trump, like, I'm happy about that.
Sure.
Not because I think he did anything particularly wrong in those cases, but I think we can all agree that his overall record, especially with maintaining undeclared wars before he decided to pull troops out, right, kind of makes him a war criminal in the same vein as George Bush and Barack Obama and bombing people who ought not have been bombed, especially with no declaration of war.
I have no clue which one is worse among those three, but I would agree that they're all doing it.
But they all deserve to be in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't care what you got on Donald Trump if it results in him being in prison. And the comparison I make is like Al Capone, racketeering, bootlegging, all this stuff, like bad stuff, murders, whatever. Well, but whatever. Like,
to me, it's like it doesn't really affect anyone if one bad guy goes to prison. Even if Fauci goes to prison, it's like these people that are on the internet that think Ian, my husband, is a bad guy, and they think like, haha, we did it. He's in prison. Like, Ian is not upset. Like, he's missing parts of his life that he'd want to be in. But like, I think Donald Trump would not be just sitting around like miserable. And even if he was, what would we gain from that? Like,
but if Al Capone
wouldn't bring people back to life.
But if Al Capone, if they couldn't get him for murder and they could get him for tax evasion, like, I'm fine with them getting him for whatever they could because a murderer is off the streets. And so with Donald Trump, if they can't get him for war crimes, but they can get him for soliciting sex from whatever, or hiding campaign finances. Like, I'm fine with that if it works. Now, the reason I like it with Donald Trump is because what I want to see is this political battle of politicians going after their political enemies.
That is kind of good, yeah.
With jail time.
Oh yeah,
right.
It makes it more interesting.
But if it's just one-sided, I don't know if that's very helpful to us.
Well, yeah,
when
but
the
if Donald
side
Trump
is-
gets elected and now he's like, well, I promised Hillary the last time and I didn't do it and they came after me and now I'm going after Hillary and I'm going after Joe Biden.
That's just because we're lucky enough for him to not be in a jail cell. If they just put Trump in a jail cell and then just were like lockstep leftists, I think things are about to get so much worse.
Well, but eventually that swings.
Mhm.
Right, a Republican will eventually get elected, or a Libertarian, well, maybe like years from now.
Mhm.
And if they go after their political end, number one, right, it sets a tone as you can't get away with everything, because now we're actually going to prosecute you for something.
Not only would no retribution be being had for people who died in wars because of Donald Trump, he would also be not learning a lesson, and no one would be understanding the two things the way you did. So no LA person on the street would be like, well, good thing he's in prison, he's a war criminal, except like a few libertarians. So that's why I'm saying I don't think we'd gain enough from that for me to be like,
But if
put him
Joe
in prison for
Biden
that.
was threatened with prison,
Joe Biden is different.
well, fine, Kamala, whoever the next person is, right? If they know that if they like overstep certain bounds, that once they're out of office, there's potential for them to be in prison, right? Then they may be less likely to overstep those bounds while in office.
This is why I say it's
Like that
different.
threat is on the table, even if the
Leftists-
layperson doesn't know about it.
Leftists right now are doing that, and leftists getting retribution for what they've been doing to people, I think is more valuable than like, oh, wouldn't it be great if the leftists just shut down every single person that seems to disobey them, and then we get worse and worse and worse into this.
Yes, but if they're facing
Marxism.
if they're facing retribution, they may be less likely to do more of it in the future.
Yeah, but I
because
don't
they
think
know
that
it's on the table.
them putting Trump in prison was going to make them think, oh, now I'm scared. I don't think so.
No, it's the fact that Trump would have to retaliate,
But not if he was in prison. He didn't make it to prison.
or a Republican. It doesn't have to be Trump.
But they all hate Trump, so they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do what? The Republican
They
wouldn't.
wouldn't go get vengeance for Trump.
No, they don't have to go get vengeance for Trump. They just
Mhm.
have to put it on the table that if you're going to put Republicans in prison, then we're going to put Democrats in prison, and then they fight amongst themselves at that level.
I don't believe that they would do that. I think they'd be like, I'm not going to stick my neck out. I'm just going to be the Republican president. And hey,
But they've already gone after one.
lip service
Even
to
if it's just Trump.
conservatism and more wars, yay. And then like I don't think Trump going to prison would accomplish anything good. Not that it would be so much worse than him not being in prison or something, but it does have the potential to be even worse.
It won't
because-
change anything if they don't retaliate. That's why I'm saying they have to retaliate.
Yeah, but and that's why I'm saying I don't think they would.
Okay. Well, then
Because-
they're missing out because the left has already shown that they're willing to do it.
Like 99% of the Republicans are not. I mean, 99 is such a exaggeration. I don't know how many there are, but most Republicans seem to be anti-Trump and very milquetoast, to where they're like, I'm not going to stick my neck out. I'm not going to do anything about anything.
But if a
that's
Republican
different."
gets elected and then exits office and the left goes after them again,
Mhm.
right, then you have Republicans who won't overstep their bounds because now the left has proven that they will go after them politically and criminally after the fact, right? So they're less likely to do overtly criminal things when they're in office. And then if you want to swing that the other direction, then they have to retaliate. If they don't want to, fine, it doesn't work, right?
Mhm.
But I want them retaliating against each other at that level.
I definitely want Trump to retaliate when he gets in office.
Yes.
So
Please.
I
do
can
it.
understand the desire for, retaliation against your political enemies, but at what
they're
point
all my political enemies.
at what point does this stop though? At what point do we stop the retaliation?
You don't.
Yeah, I don't think that
Just
bad
keep
people
putting
should
criminals
stop
into-
fighting against each other.
Keep putting criminals in jail, even if they happen to be heads of state.
Human beings should at some point stop the cycle of violence against each other instead of always getting their revenge. Like,
Yeah.
someone needs to start forgiveness. But when it comes to those people that are all bad and harming, they're parasites on the whole planet, the government. Those people means the government. There are people who call themselves the government and claim authorities that they do not have. And they're parasites on the rest of the population who works just for them to be able to be fat fed freaks and parasites that live off of us. I don't think there needs to be some kind of like, where will they stop and harming each other?
When they stop. Like Benjamin Netanyahu,
That makes sense to me.
The Israeli president, right, is like indicted internationally for war crimes. And he's landing in European countries whom should arrest him and put him on trial in the international court.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, nah, there's the arrest warrant out there, but we're not going to execute it. And they should.
I've seen that. Yeah, other countries have arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu. Also, Syria. Wait, no, is it Iran has a arrest warrant for Trump right now?
Could be.
It's so weird.
Yeah, and if he stays out of Iran, fine.
Mhm.
But if he goes to another country which Iran is like friends with, and they're like, no, if Trump lands here, we're gonna arrest him and extradite him, then they should. They absolutely should.
They should definitely do that with Netanyahu, but I bet he's like really smart and staying away from lots of people right now.
No, because he landed in like Germany, and Germany's like, no, we're not going to execute the warrant.
Whoa.
Well,
Netanyahu did?
Yeah, something like, I don't remember, I might be wrong about Germany, but he landed somewhere where they could have arrested him or was planning to, and they said that they weren't going to execute the warrant. Like, but they should. Like, that's the thing. If the people aren't going to rise up and hold politicians accountable, well, then the best we can hope for is that other politicians retaliate against each other and hopefully hold them accountable enough where they go like, I'm not going to put my head out and do anything extreme because I'm in fear of the political retaliation.
That's a good point. Like, I don't think a lot of them are in fear of the retaliation at all because
And they need to be.
They all use their resources whenever they're in office to harm the other side, which is like more evidence to me that they're not all exactly the same. But I mean, that could be a trick.
Which is why the Trump thing was weird, because they never went after anybody else before, and they absolutely went after Trump when they didn't have to.
Yeah. It was really weird. I mean, it was also during the presidential election year.
And I want to see more of that, regardless of if you think it's going to happen or not. Fine, it probably won't. But I absolutely want to see more of that.
I wanted to bring up this story that actually you brought in, Richie Rich, by putting it into the link you gave me to bring up
Show prep.
And I think everybody has seen this picture except Riley.
No, I haven't seen it at all.
But you've probably heard of this too, Riley. There was this famous painting, quote unquote. It's okay, it's not a painting, I meant to say artwork. That was a banana duct taped to a wall, a blank wall. Have you heard of that?
I've heard about it, yes.
So it's very famous because people are like, that sold for $6 million. What?
And a quick update, there's now been a Cheeto duct taped to a wall that sold for $20,000.
Whoa. So that to me
Money
sounds
laundering.
like money laundering. It has to
I
be.
should try stuff like this and see if I can make some money.
That's the thing. Like, if
Claim myself as a blind artist.
I think
It's a legitimate claim.
I think every artist is hoping that their like paintings will get noticed and somebody will money launder with their paintings.
I call this one Urine on Snow.
Because it seems like there's no way that any piece of art is actually worth $6 million, and I don't care that it's subjective.
Value is subjective.
It definitely is.
But who really values a banana taped to a wall $6 million?
The guy who paid for it.
And the thing is, I think he valued being able to launder that $6 million.
Possibly, yes.
That he valued the banana. But that's just a guess. And the thing is, I'm not actually, and this all allegedly, I'm not actually accusing him of anything, whatever. It's just what it seems like. So, Chinese billionaire eats $6 million banana.
So the fact that he's a billionaire seems like this was more of a publicity stunt than money laundering.
That is a good point.
Right?
I didn't know that
he's
a
got
billionaire bought it.
$6 million to throw away and do something dumb with, and he's like, I'm just gonna eat the banana.
And it was years ago that this banana existed, so I'm wondering if he froze it or what. But
that's what I wanted to know.
Because I've definitely seen this picture for years.
Yeah.
It says,
is it a new banana?
Cryptocurrency investor Justin Sun devoured the Italian artwork as a part of a unique artistic experience.
So it's already money laundering because it's a crypto scheme.
No, he's just a crypto investor.
Oh, okay.
So it says Chinese-born crypto, and you're making a joke, right? Because like they say everything in cryptocurrency, they claim it's money laundering. Money laundering is going on. That's why we have to stop Bitcoin. Yeah. So, Chinese-born cryptocurrency investor Justin Sun has eaten the banana-based artwork. He bought at an auction last week for $2.6 million. Wait, he bought it for last week? He bought it last week?
Apparently.
But this has...
It's a knockoff banana.
I've seen this for a really long
It's
time.
a reproduction banana artwork.
So it says that video from the open event in Hong Kong where he chewed on his purchase on Friday has been shared online. Titled Comedian, the
He
concept...
could have solved world hunger, and he chose to spend it on one banana.
I don't know if you could solve world hunger with $6 million.
It's also a joke.
Oh, okay. Because that's what they say
He
about
could
the
have
rich
done.
people.
He could have done some charitable outreach with $6
Yeah.
million, and he chose to buy a single banana for the purpose of eating it.
He could have given me $6 million, and he chose to.
He could have gotten that chick to call him bro 12 times.
Yeah.
I know.
That chick could have called him bro. The other guy is like, why would you do this? So I'm really confused about how this banana is only a week old because I have seen it before. This has to be like somebody else
Yeah, it's a
copied the other
reproduction
one.
banana.
Yeah. So it says, titled Comedian, the conceptual work, which is like, why is it titled Comedian? It's a banana taped to a wall. But
Because artists can title it whatever they want.
so, titled Comedian, the conceptual work was created by Italian artist Maurizio Catalan in 2019. So, yeah, I was
It's
right.
an
that
old banana.
Old. And consisted of a banana duct taped to a wall. It was sold at Sotheby's, is that how you say that?
Sotheby's, yeah.
In New York on November 21st with Sun among 7 bidders. The entrepreneur, who actually received a banana and some duct tape, pledged to eat the fruit as part of this unique artistic experience. Eating it at a press conference can also become a part of the artwork's history, Sun said on Friday.
So they didn't even give him the art piece. They just here's some duct tape and a banana.
It said
he could have gone to the hardware store with a second stop at the bodega.
It's so weird, yeah.
For this
'cause
experience.
It doesn't say he received the
Bonnie,
banana.
you need to do a TikTok of you eating a banana
Oh, yeah.
with some duct tape.
That's really normal, and no one will think anything weird from that.
No, but it'll be a TikTok trend, and you can take credit for starting it.
There was this picture that this girl, she's famous for making like the most money on Twitter with their like paid program thing. For reference, if you follow me on Twitter, I make like $10 a month, and she makes, oh man, I already forgot, she makes like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I don't remember how much.
Need more simps.
And part of that is because she has subscriptions, and that's more than just getting the like trickles of money from views. But what was I gonna say about it? Oh yeah, she posted this picture today that was just like, no, I only have one hot dog left, and it's her hand holding like a package of hot dogs in a suggestive way. If you're thinking about it, it had like millions of bookmarks. Which is, different than I like, because somebody's like, I'm coming back to this picture. And I immediately knew what that was supposed to be. I was just like, good one, I guess. It's like her hand kind of wrapped around the package holding a hot dog. And her caption was just, no, I only have one more hot dog left. And her name is Tiffany Fong.
I think I saw you respond to that post on X.
Wait, what?
I think I saw your response to that post on X.
I didn't. It was probably someone else. But she's like super popular.
Huh.
Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't think I did. I could be wrong. So.
You don't even know what you do? Do you have a person to run your social media?
No, it's just that I
have no idea if I responded to this.
It's possible that I commented something like, oh, I see what you did there, but I
Okay.
don't remember doing it. So I thought I didn't confidently at first. And then I was like, wait, maybe I did. And I don't remember.
All right.
So it says, he said, eating it at a press conference can also become a part of the artwork's history. It's so weird because it says he actually received a banana and some duct tape.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not the original art piece.
It could be, but that would just be bad writing.
It would also be a really old banana. That's a 5-year-old banana. There's no way that's edible.
But why did he only get it 5 years later?
I don't know.
Why didn't he get the banana right away when he paid for it?
Well, it's probably, when was the auction back in 2019? Or has it been auctioned off a number of times since then, and he's the most recent owner?
I don't know. It's that he said
Right.
it's so much better than other bananas. That's what he told the crowd.
It better be if you're paying $6 million
Yeah,
for it.
it better be the best banana you ever had.
I think that's just part of the
That's also confirmation bias.
Joke. Yeah, he's just
I spent
lying.
the money. It has to be good.
He was like, oh, I know what I'm going to say after I take the bite. Like, he planned that. It's so much better than other bananas. It's really quite good. He also drew parallels between conceptual art and cryptocurrency. Oh, that's kind of a good way to get people interested in cryptocurrency, like do this weird attention grab type of thing. The banana that Sun, like, will he make more than $6 million if he gets enough people into cryptocurrency to go bump the number up? Maybe.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
The banana that Sun ate was not the same one that the creator of the artwork used back in 2019. After winning the auction, the entrepreneur was provided with instructions on how to present and treat the art installation, with the key part being to regularly replace the fruit. So stupid.
Yeah. So he ate a $6 million banana and he's just going to like replace it with another banana?
He's spending more than $6.2 million now because he's got to buy a banana every week and, maybe 2 weeks or something.
Okay. I mean, that's not that expensive.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
a billionaire.
That wasn't the final point or price. That's kind of a ripoff.
Every time you sell it now, it's going to be the thing to eat the banana. It's part of the
That would be
experience.
really interesting.
So, what if he replaces the banana and it hasn't been long enough to replace it, and he eats it? Then does the artwork disappear? Or
No, it's just a banana.
Or would somebody else be able to be just like, well, I still have the wall and the duct tape, and I'm just going to put a different banana? And he's like, no, time didn't run out. I ate that banana. That had to be the last banana. See what I'm saying?
I think if he puts the installation up for auction again, then whoever buys that will get a new duct tape and banana.
Oh yeah,
right, and then they can do what they want. Yeah.
That's going to get expensive.
So they're not. It's not the banana per se that's up for sale. It's like an NFT of the installation.
What if a banana...
You own the right to this display.
What if a banana rots there and then he never replaces it and he's like, I won't replace it?
Well, then whoever gets the installation next will just replace it. Like if you pay, $7 million for it, you just go out and spend 50 cents on another banana.
But he didn't replace it, so what he sold would just be the wall.
That's what I'm saying. It's an NFT. He's selling the rights to the installation.
So that
right to
person didn't
display.
buy that banana thing, so it's ended at that point.
Well, it ended when the first banana rotted in 2019.
Yeah, and it's just so strange that there are billionaires willing to pay money for banana and duct tape.
One thing
Is it though?
What would have been way more interesting would be
What would
if
you
they
spend $1 billion on?
if they left the,
I'd rather buy a house.
If they left
or
the
property.
original banana up and just we could see what it looked like 5 years later, that would be more interesting.
It's like a McDonald's science experiment.
Yeah, except that would actually probably rot, unlike McDonald's. It's been Free Talk Live. Thanks so much for listening. freetalklive.com for more. Thanks for listening to us, and peace.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real